Yorùbá ti létò àti ìlànà tí àwa ni ká mọ́ yẹ̀ kúrò ńbẹ̀. Àpẹẹrẹ irú àwọn òwe báyìí ta fi ń kìlọ̀ ìwà ìbàjẹ́ fún ọba àti ìjòyè òun ni àgbọ̀ tí wọ́n sọ pé àkábíyèsí ẹ ti pọ̀ ju nǹkan báyìí lọ, a kì í ru ẹrin lérí káṣẹ̀ mọ́ fẹsẹ̀ wá ihò ìrẹ̀ ńlẹ̀. Wọ́n á ní wọ́n fi ọ́ jọba ó tún sóògùn àwúre só fẹ́ dolódùmarè ni fẹ̀kàntọ́lẹ̀ ńlẹ̀ Yorùbá wọ́n mọ̀ ọ́ wárí fọ́ba ni bọ́ba bá tún wá ń sóògùn àwúre tí ń sóògùn òkìkí ó ti kọjá àyè rẹ̀ nìyẹn. Àwọn òwe yẹn la fi ń kìlọ̀ fún wọn. Nílẹ̀ Yorùbá àwọn ìwà kan ṣe mọ́ pa sọ nípa tá fi kan sára séèyàn tó ṣe nǹkan akíkanjú lẹ́ẹ̀kan. Àwọn òwe kan náà wà tá fi máa ń bẹnu àtẹ́lu ẹni tó bá hùwà ọ̀lẹ tó bá ṣèmẹ́lẹ́ tó ṣe nǹkan tí ò dáa tá fi máa sọ wọ́n ní ìwọ fẹ́ máa ṣọ̀lẹ àbí ìwọ fẹ́ máa hùwà bàjẹ́ ó ti gbàgbé ni wípé ẹni tó bá ti ṣọ̀lẹ ìyà ni ó padà jẹ torí wípé ẹni tó bá ṣèmẹ́lẹ́ kódà gan lẹ̀ Yorùbá a máa ń kọrin kan ní ilé ẹ̀kọ́ alákọ̀ọ́bẹ̀rẹ̀ pé ìyà ọ̀lẹ kò rọ̀ mọ́ bí ẹ wá ayé ọ̀lẹ ó ṣe. Wọ́n ní òrìṣà tí gbé ọ̀lẹ kan ò sí apá ẹni ní gbéni níjà. Ìyẹn ni pé ẹni tó bá ti ṣọ̀lẹ kó ti mọ̀ pé òun lè ríran lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run Olódùmarè ìgbàgbọ́ Yorùbá ni. Wọ́n ní òòṣà kì í gba méjì lọ́wọ́ ìmẹ́lẹ́ bí ò bá gbapá rẹ̀ a sì ṣe kíni àfúnlẹ́nu torí wípé kíni kò lè lo ọwọ́ rẹ̀ láti fi ṣiṣẹ́ kò ń ṣakínkanjú. Wọ́n á ní àgbàtán ni ẹ jẹ́ ká kúkú gbọ̀lẹ̀ ara rẹ̀ torí pé kíni bàbá dáṣọ fọ́lẹ̀ àpá aláró bàbá paṣọ rẹ̀ láró gan tán á tù ú là níjà á wàá sìn délé kẹ́rù ọmọ bàbá. Ṣùgbọ́n ìwà ọ̀lẹ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá kòrò ojú sí ẹ mọ́ ṣọ̀lẹ o torí pé ọ̀lẹ kò ráyè wá ìyá ọ̀lẹ gan kọ̀rọ̀ ọmọ bí kì í ṣèpè. Ẹ jẹ́ àwọn òwe mìíràn tí ó máa ń fi àwọn onírúurú ìwà tó wà láàrin àwa ẹ̀dá ṣẹ̀wọ̀n pé oríṣiríṣi làwa ẹ̀dá oríṣiríṣi náà dẹ̀ ni àwọn ìwà tí a máa ń wò. Àpẹẹrẹ rẹ̀ wọ́n ní ohun tó ju ajá rí tí ajá fi ń gbó kò tó eléyìí tí àgùntàn rí tó fi ń ṣèrànwọ́ gbogbo tágùntàn bá rí bọ̀ báyìí náà ni ó mọ̀ wò ṣùgbọ́n ajá kó má ti rí ni gbogbo yóò ti mọ̀ pariwo ìwà tiẹ̀ nìyẹn. Àpẹẹrẹ mìíràn wọ́n á ní kíni èyí tó wù mí ò wù ọ́ torí kíni òun lọmọ ìyá méjì sì máa ń fẹ́ obìnrin wọn lọ́tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ìwà àwa ẹ̀dá ṣe mọ̀ pé yàtọ̀ síra òun ni ìsọ̀rí òwe yẹn. Ẹ jẹ́ ká wo òwe mìíràn tó jẹ́ pé a lè lò láti bu ẹnu àtẹ́lu ẹni tó bá hùwà àìmoore ẹni tó bá hùwà tí kò moore torí pé tá bá ṣe ní lóore nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ó yẹ ká dúpẹ́ Yorùbá yìí sì ṣaláìmoore tá bá rẹ́ni tí kò moore wọ́n á ní ó mà ṣe o ẹni tá a ṣe lóore tí ò dúpẹ́ ó dàbí ọlọ́ṣà tó kóni lẹ́rù lọ ni ṣé àwọn pẹ̀tọ́ ọlọ́ṣà bá kóni lẹ́rù mo rò pé ẹmọ tí ń jẹ́ ọlọ́ṣà ìgárá ọlọ́ṣà adigunjalè olè tó jí nǹkan èèyàn lọ ní jẹ́bẹ̀ ṣé tó bá jí nǹkan yín lọ ṣé yóò wá dúpẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹni tí kò bá moore ẹmọ yà láìmoore. Wọ́n tún wá ń sọ wípé ẹni tó yá ẹgbẹ̀fà owó tí ò san ó ti bínú ẹgbẹ̀je torí pé kò ní lè rí àánú gbà ní ìgbà mìíràn. Òmíràn gbogbo àwọn òwe wọ̀nyí bí mo ṣe sọ fún yín wọ́n pọ̀ gan ni torí àkókò wa a lè má láǹfààní láti yẹ̀ wọ́n wò ṣùgbọ́n ẹ máa fi sọ́kàn wípé àwọn orísun Yorùbá bí ò bá jẹ́ ìtàn a jẹ́ ewì a jẹ́ ìrírí àwùjọ ó lè wá láti inú ẹsẹ̀ Ifá ó lè jẹ́ nípasẹ̀ àwọn nǹkan tá à ń rí láwùjọ gbogbo àwọn ìsọ̀rí wọ̀nyí òun la lè pín àwọn òwe Yorùbá sí kò wá lóǹkà kódà ó kọjá àǹtẹ́nìkan ṣoṣo lè mọ̀ lọ ṣùgbọ́n kókó ibẹ̀ ni pé ẹ jẹ́ ká máa ṣàmúlò àwọn òwe wọ̀nyí ní ọ̀gangan ipò tí wọ́n bá ti wúlò ibi tẹ́ bá ti fẹ́ báyàn wí ẹ mọ́ lo òwe tá a fi kọ sára sí ni ibi tẹ́ bá ti fẹ́ kìlọ̀ ìwà ìbàjẹ́ ẹ mọ́ lo òwe tó ń fi ipò ọba àbí ìjòyè hàn ẹ jẹ́ kí gbogbo rẹ̀ kó jẹ́ gẹ́gẹ́ ṣe gẹ́gẹ́ ìka tó bá tọ́ símú ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ kọ̀ọ̀kan oníkẹ́fì rèé nínú àwọn òwe ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Tọ́ ìyá Kọ́mọlédè ẹ mọ́mọ́ bínú ọjọ́ òun tún ti sáré lọ́nu ni o lágbára Ọlọ́run ìgbà míì ló tún dà o táàtù máa pàdé lákọ̀tún pẹ̀lú kókó ọ̀rọ̀ mìíràn mo mọ̀ pé ìtẹ́ ti gbọ́ lónìí ẹ ti rẹ́kọ̀ọ́ kan tàbí kejì dìmú bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti abala ààbọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ pẹ̀lú Yẹmí Alára níbi tá a ti gbọ́ nípa wípé a gbọ́dọ̀ bọ̀wọ̀ fúnra wa torí pé àgbà tó bá jẹ àjẹtọ́ oúnjẹ fúnra rẹ̀ ní ó kó ìgbà rẹ̀ lọlé tó fi dórí àwọn ìlànà àti ìsọ̀rí òwe eléyìí tí àtijọ́ kọ́ra wa lórí ètò lónìí ọpẹ́ ńlá kàǹkà lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run Olódùmarè fún ètò tòní lórúkọ gbogbo àwọn ikọ̀ tí a jọ ń ṣiṣẹ́ ní àyàn àti ẹ̀yin náà tí a jọ gbọ́ tá a jọ wò ó ní mo fi ń kí n pé ó tún máa dìgbà míì tá a pàdé lákọ̀tún lórí ètò Àkọ́mọlédè Fọlúṣọ́ Ayaolúwa Gbémiga ìyá àjọ pèdèpèdè ìyá Àkọ́mọlédè yín ló sọ fún yín pé èdè Yorùbá wuyì ó wọ̀yẹ́ o ẹ mọ̀jọ́ dì mẹ́rí lọ́dọ̀ tiyín ẹ máa kọ́ àwọn ọmọ yín lédè.
Hello again. Thank you very sincerely for watching the bookshelf again. This is the broadcast where we get to deal with everyone who has a relationship with books. And we're streaming live from the studios of Western Spring Television. I am your teaching and learning advocate, Damilola Raphael. I trust that you're keeping well. I trust that you're up to speed with our previous episodes of the bookshelf and, of course, our different flagship right here on this platform. It's another rewarding episode. But before I go into what we'll be doing for today, let's take you back to our social media. For those who are not up to speed, please do well to follow us on our YouTube channel, and that's at Western Spring Television. Very important. This year, we're talking about learning new languages as our mandate. So let me say it in Igbo. Odichakwa. Very important for you to go and watch previous episodes of our different programs right here. Stay up to speed. Rather than follow fallacy, follow rumor, just get not just the scoop, but the details of the juicy stories and trends right there on our YouTube channel. That is Western Spring Television. So, our mandate for the year. How far gone? How many months have we spent this year? What have you done? Remember, we didn't even have to stress ourselves so much as touching what we should be doing for the year. Just 5 sentences at the end of the year. Imagine 5 sentences. And you could be doing things like, my name is this, although that's so basic. But I'm just giving examples. My name is this. I can do, I studied, basic things. How are you? 5 sentences minimum at the end of 12 calendar months. I think that's a whooping lot. Really, really whooping. 12 months, 5 sentences, it is achievable. If you can think it, remember that you can achieve it. Talking about previous episodes of the broadcast of the bookshelf, I recall we had a topic, memory enhancement and memes. Memory enhancement and memes. You should go back to check out that particular one. Log on YouTube on whatever browser, type out Western Spring Television, click on our page, go to our page, and then open up the search button. Now, when you get to our page, go ahead and subscribe. Do well to also put on your notification and do well to like and interact with different posts right there. So to help you search out memory enhancement and memes, the topic, you should go to the search button and just type out bookshelf or do memory enhancement, whichever one, or memes. It will bring it up for you. We will be going to catch up. Yes, I'm going to just show us a part of the memes. The one for memory enhancement, go and watch the full video yourself. We'll call for this right now, and I'll be back on the other side of it to let us in as to why we decided to take on this particular journey today on the bookshelf. Of being a book addict, the pain of being a book addict. And looking at the first one there, you have a paperback. It says, gets too easily damaged. Hardcovers, this one's too heavy to read in bed. And Kindle doesn't have the smell of books. So what do you want exactly? That's talking about men's needs being insatiable, right? Let's look at the next meme that we have here. This picture, we have a trio, major focus now, the trio at the front. And then the lady, okay, so on the left, that's books on my to be read for months. That's to be read list for months. Remember we had a guest, yeah, Turbo, who talked about books and all that, okay, that he had to read and he wanted to buy them. So let's shift that to the side and look at you in the middle. Hugging, yes, let's go back to that. You're hugging the books now that you have heard of just about 3 minutes ago. You want to go and get them just like that. How about those ones you are owing your backlog? So let's move on to the next one right here. Now, this picture, we have, it's kind of like a pictogram. We have 6 pictures in all, and then the first one is right there, the woman trying to get the man's attention, and then the woman having a chat with someone while the husband, keeps reading, and then now the man has fallen over. But they wonder what's going on. Now looking at the fourth one to the bottom left, and then you're seeing CPR, okay, being done on the man, and then, okay, there's his graveside. And look at him in the coffin, what's he doing? Still reading. Did somebody say RTID? Somebody here is also saying RTID, but his own R is read and not rich. Let's move on, seeing more memes, beg your pardon. Here, okay, so therapist says, as a client, talking to the client and telling the client to think of his happy place. And of course, that's the client right there. Where is that? Okay, that's right there in the library, and this is a very beautiful one. You have your e-library, and of course you have your regular books on that side. So if you want to smell books, that's it. You want to use Kindle, that's it right there. Let's move on, seeing more memes. This one. What you're thinking when your friend keeps telling you what is about to happen in the book that you're reading, like what's in your head is like, can I gag you? Can you shut your mouth? Like, Don't take out all of the interest. I mean, all of the surprise. Don't take it away from me. Let me just get there myself. Okay, so more book memes. I told you it's not boring. I promise. If anybody says books are boring, they haven't come across a good one thus far. So let's talk about money and its relationship with books. So this person posted an X. Now it's X. It used to be Twitter. It's X now. It says, this coin will help you decide if you should read one more chapter or just go to bed. You know those periods where you are undecided. Should I not? Should I not? Okay, and then one more chapter. That's on the flip side. You have go to bed. You know, sometimes during sports, there's a coin for football now. Let's focus on football. There's a coin that's flipped, and then it decides what side of the field, you know, of the playing field, the teams will be starting with before halftime, and then they swap sides. So if you're not so sure whether you should read or not, that coin, maybe you should just, you could actually be creative around it. You could come up with the crown cork of your regular fizzy drinks, okay? So that cork, take it up, and you could just use a paper tape. This is a paper tape. So on the one side, you put one more chapter, and on the flip side, go to bed. So if you're undecided, I have to wake up so early tomorrow. Oh, no, but this is so interesting. Just, you know, do the coin toss with your crown cork and do one more chapter, go to bed, and this is going to help you. Let's move on to the next meme. When you meet someone who is reading the same book, you go, so my daughter went to the library. She also uses the public library, the state library. And she told me, I remember making her read, you know, one of the very beautiful books. There was a Country by Chinua Achebe. And she told me, it's so voluminous. When am I going to be finishing this? And then she got to the library and saw someone with it and came back home telling me, I actually felt like, I'm so young and I read that book. He's so old and he's having to read. And I said, no, he could actually be rereading. Remember, we talked about memory enhancement earlier. So he could actually be rereading that particular material. But I mean, what do you feel like when you're seeing someone who is reading the same material as you are? So let's move to the next one that we have, talking about memes. You're having fun, right? I am too. So now this picture, just look at that expression on the animal's face, the plot twist in the book you are reading that you didn't see coming. You go, like, what? No, it's not supposed to go in this direction. How could she? How could he? How could it? Okay, let's move on to the next one. Now looking at this, when you finish a book and you let it soak in, have you thought I read a book that's actually really changed you as a person, that really changed you? Well, that's a meme for it right there. I mean, you just become so sober. You, this exciting, outgoing, outspoken person, all of a sudden, you're just reflecting. Oh, why? But how? Well, that's a meme for you right there. Let's flip. This one. Whose picture do we have? No, I'm not telling. You should know. Remember, books helps us to know, right? So you should go and check out who this is. But then again, his actions or reactions to these things are what we want to touch on. Tall and thin books. Who's picky? And short and thick books, come on, you're talking about us, you're talking to us. But then again, I believe there is information that's important and useful to everyone. So whether tall and thin, whether short and thick, I don't think I'm so choosy. I mean, getting a big book doesn't mean the person is all-knowing. And getting a small book doesn't mean the person has lesser information than the next person to us. So let's move on. Okay, so let's see. Now, this reader has started reading this particular material. And then the ones he has read, he said, this will take me 2 months. And then I will finish this in 2 hours. There's a whole lot that's going on here. Because looking at the set, this will take me 2 months. That's because it's the beginning. You know, when you're reading the intro, it's kind of drab. And then it becomes interesting towards the end. You don't even want that material to finish, right? Who remembers Game of Thrones? It actually was called from a book. Whatever you think about the ending now, just keep that opinion to yourself. But this is like, it's dull at the beginning. For those who, you know, follow, especially books that have series, at the beginning, for fiction now, fiction material, at the beginning, it's kind of dry, drab, and but then again, you're like, what took you 2 months? You will now read that same volume. Look at that in 2 hours. Shall we? We have more? Right there. This one. I think this is one of my favorite picks. Said me to any random scrap of paper when I lost my bookmark again. We've talked about bookmarks on the bookshelf. And I gave us an idea just now, talking about using your crown cord, just putting your paper tapes and writing on it for your flip to decide whether you want to continue reading or you just want to stop. Okay, so whatever random paper, you'll be a bookmark. And looking at that picture is from one of these series, right? Good. So let's move on and see more. Oh, we have more, and I think this is the last. Okay, said, okay, we have more. Good. Do you have any books on turtles? This is another favorite pick of mine from all of these memes. Do you have any books on turtles? And then the librarian goes, hardback. And then the library user goes, yeah, with little heads. Now, this is a joke, right? Good. Because he's asking for book on turtles, and she is asking hardback, like the book itself, not the subject, like turtles. And then he goes, yeah, with little heads. You understand? They say, you get it. If you don't get it, forget about it. All right, I like this as well. When you're ADHD, your ADHD is acting up while you're trying to read. So you have to read the same paragraph 5 times to actually absorb anything. Let me read. Let me read. But then again, it's really going to help. Remember some of the tips we touched on earlier on with regards to our memory. So you going back to read these things would really help you, especially if you found that you don't really have all of that luxury like some other persons who will just pick up fast. Let's just push that one and we'll wrap up. This is also one of my favorite picks right here. It said, read, and to be married said, list of books to read before you die. 1, any book you want. 2, don't read books you don't want to read. 3, that's it. 4, congratulations, you did it. And we have responses said, I really like this list. All my favorite books are on it. And the last person says, thanks, I worked really hard on it. Now don't be lazy. Just go ahead and do what you ought to do, right? Remember, we said, sleep tight, wake up bright in the morning light, do what you know is right with all your heart. So don't go around and be lazy. After sleeping and you've gotten all of that rejuvenation, you should put it to work so you can make life better for you, for me.
Wow, wow, wow. That is such a refreshing safari, if you ask me. I mean, you saw me smiling, right? That was very, very beautiful going back. I mean, that last one talking about
books on your to-read list, and then that one about meeting someone who's reading the same material as you are or as you have. And the one of the meme about the person who was reading, called his attention, he didn't get and all that until he died, and right there in the grave he was still reading, reminds me of Theodore Roosevelt, who it was said that he died in his sleep. And when he was picked up from his bed, there was a book right under his pillow. Talk about growing, getting better. At that height, he was #1 citizen, and he was still reading. Now, why did I take on memes? Let's take this very quick breather. I'll be back to let the cat out of the bag, and we'll be digging into details as we proceed on the bookshelf. Stay with us.
COVID-19 is a global crisis. Businesses, cities, even countries were shut down by a disease traced to a wildlife. We must never let it happen again. In captivity, wild animals are potential sources of disease. To protect our wildlife and our health, say no to illegal bushmeat and report wildlife crime. Keep them wild and keep us safe.
You're welcome back. Thank you very sincerely for keeping face with us. I was going to say keeping it real, because honestly, we're keeping it real right here on the bookshelf, broadcasting live on Western Spring Television. You have been having fun. Well, if you are just joining in, you have missed a lot, because right now we have had a journey, very refreshing safari, and we're about to let the cat out of the bag at this time, as touching why we touched on memes, and then we'll be moving to do references at this time. So I saw a very fleeting meme, very fleeting. Trust me to have gotten it for you, right? It was very fleeting, just psst, and I didn't have access to it anymore. It was just in motion, and boom, I just saw it, and it said, someone said my eye catches fast. How it works, so help me God. So it said, as an author, I'm paraphrasing now, okay? As an author, you know what you want to write. You know what you want to communicate to your reader. But then again, you need to quote somebody. That's why I love autobiographies, because I do not necessarily have to quote anybody. Anyway, back to that meme. You have to quote one Baker 2001, who says that same thing to buttress your point. But then again, you can't quote Baker 2001 or Baker 1977 or Baker 1822, because that's so outdated. You need an update on the data as touching the facts you want to bring to bear to your audience. So what do? You start looking for another Baker that wrote something about a year earlier for you to be able to put your thoughts down, your own thoughts in your own material. Talk about the hard side of putting pen to paper and becoming an author. Okay, I had a conversation, but the way I like putting you on the edge and making you savor this particular one and watching out for the next one, right? It's the way we work. So, John C. Maxwell, he wrote this beautiful book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And I'll be looking at chapter 2 of the material. Remember, it's referencing we're talking about. We are not reviewing this material. We are only looking at referencing. And I'm going to be calling something out of what he also called out from another person's material, moving straight to chapter 2 the law of influence. And it says the true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And if you look at that page 11, he was talking about Lucinda Vardy, who had worked with Mother Teresa on the book, The Simple Path, describing the nun. So I'll just move over to page 11 and 12. I beg your pardon, page 12 and 13, to quote what he called out of the material that was written right there. But before that, let me just give his own intro to it. Mother Teresa's impact reached far beyond her immediate environment. People from all walks of life and from nations around the globe respected her. And when she spoke, people listened. Author and former presidential speechwriter, this is another person now, Peggy Noonan, wrote about a speech Mother Teresa gave at the National Prayer Breakfast in 1994. It illustrates her level of influence with others. Noonan observed, now this is Noonan's observation, the Washington establishment was there, plus a few thousand born-again Christians, Orthodox Catholics, and Jews. Mother Teresa spoke of God, of love, of families. She said we must love one another and care for one another. There were great pairs of agreement. But as the speech continued, it became more pointed. She spoke of unhappy parents in old people's homes who are hurt because they are forgotten. She asked, are we willing to give until it hurts in order to be with our families, or do we put our own interests first? And then boom, the baby boomers in the audience began to shift in their seats. And she continued, I feel that the greater destroyer of peace today is abortion, she said, and told them why in uncompromising terms. For about 1.3 seconds, there was silence. Then applause swept the room, but not everyone clapped. The President and First Lady, Bill and Hillary Clinton, the Vice President and Mrs. Gore looked like scared statues at Madame Tussauds, moving not a muscle. Mother Teresa didn't stop there either. When she was finished, there was almost no one she hadn't offended. I mean, looking at that particular story, you just want to be tempted rather to go into the details. I mean, people stayed and listened. He was talking about the law of influence, but what we are focusing on is reference. He mentioned the name of the person he got the book, got this particular part from, for him to be able to buttress his point on the topic he was dealing with in chapter 2 right there. And that's talking about references. Subsequently, we'll be going more into details with regards referencing and how it has, I know students, maybe your project or something, you start talking about referencing. Well, that's not the only instance you get to use reference. And when I mentioned autobiographies earlier, the fact that it's an autobiography does not mean that you still cannot make references or quote some other material. And right here, I am going to be dropping the book. And of course, in due course, I'll drop the mic as we wrap it up on the broadcast of the bookshelf for today. I'm super looking forward to the next episode right here. It's going to be rich, enriching, and it's going to be interesting as well as rewarding. Thank you very sincerely for following through. Make sure to not give up on the mandates. Yes, we've far gone. Oh no, we still have time. But whatever it is, 5 sentences in a new language at the end of this year that we are in. I look forward to seeing you some other time. I am your teaching and learning advocate, Damilola Raphael, and I'm saying goodbye and God bless.
Television gives everyone an image, but radio gives birth to a million images in the brains. People keep the radio station it's not just about it is a pink and possibilities of the human imagination.
Welcome Rave 91.7 FM, where the air is live with a symphony of voices, music, and ideas.
Nestled in the heart of Osho, the shape of the radio even dreams in the minds of its listeners. As Nonan aptly puts it, radio allows us to paint our own pictures, to create our own words with every spoken word and every note played.
Inside the world of Radio FM, happens. Clean your own touch, so every it through and
Whether it's news, music, or live discussions, Rave 91 FM is more than just a station. It's a companion, confidant, and a change in the community. Fast forward and even pervade FM on 4 and Asia. Bring ourselves just a couple of years away from position of Western Swing Television, BUS TV, with hyper-local region language. WT speaks directly to its audience. It's a mix of Yoruba and English languages, ensuring that everyone is represented and included.
built on a tested and trusted system. WSTV was and integrity, serving as a beacon of sea of media noise.
We refund journey that brought us here from humble beginnings to a trusted source of information and inspiration. WSTV stands as a testament to the power of media to inform, educate, and empower. So join us as we continue to break barriers, challenge norms, and pave the way for a brighter, Western Asia, where external never is.
What youth, harmless, and depends on its mother for food protection? Well, me of course, but also a shy little creature called the pangolin. Hundreds of thousands of pangolins are hunted and killed every year for meat and scales. If we continue this way, the pangolin we can't allow families to get meat from pangolins or other protected animals. Give them all, keep safe.
What is in television? Ours it is. Ours it is.
الحمد لله رب العالمين نشكره ونستعينه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ به من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Alhamdulillah, it's another beautiful Friday and you're welcome to your program Sabil Rashad, the path to salvation, where we are admonishing on the Islamic teaching, the Islamic principles, the Islamic doctrine, and Islamic perspective of many issues, mashallah. Today, we are looking at another topical issue, and our topic for today is religion tolerance. My name is Tirimi Sheikh Dr. Murtada EBMA As-Sunusi. Yes, while welcoming you with the best mode of greeting, universally accepted as us, peace and blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be unto you all. Looking at religion today from another perspective. Yes, we have been hearing a lot of banters here and there, a lot of counter-accusation, counter-accusation from Islamic circle, the traditional religion circle, the Christian religion circle, and everything is becoming is becoming something else. And we are now devoting today's topic, mashallah, our program, to discuss it, how religion should be. Yes, mashallah, to start with, let me just explain that every religion that comes with compulsion is not God-made religion. Because God-made religion must come with free will. The free will. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran that yes, La ikra fi din, qad tabayyana rushda min al-ghayy. That is, there's no any compulsion in religion. No compulsion in religion. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has distinct the path of error from the right path. So for those who want to follow any path, Islam permits you to go with it. Allah himself did not force his will on anyone. He gives us free will. That if you choose, ima shakiran wa ima kafuran, you may choose to follow the way that at the end of it, you will say, Alhamdulillah. You may choose to follow the other way. You may become an infidel. You may become a disbeliever. So, and you have to be very, very careful which way you choose. And any way you choose, you have no one to blame. So, unlike some certain people that are saying that you must come our way, that's not Islam. Islam does not force anyone to come to Islam. In fact, during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, people willingly accepted Islam. There's a lady that the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam come in contact with after a war, and the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wants her to stay with him. And having accepted, the Prophet says that, look, go to your people, and if you are so wish that yes, you want to stay with me as my wife, come voluntarily. So it won't be like I coerce you into Islam. Islam is not a religion of coercion. Islam is a religion of force. No, there's nothing like that. That's misconception. And we have some certain people today that are making it look like as if we are true Imale. We are not Imale. It's not a religion of force. It's a religion of willingness. I have some visitors today. They came to my compound, and yes, they greet. And after their greeting, I came out to meet them, and they said, oh, we want to preach gospel to you. And I said, you are welcome. Let's talk. And they start discussing with me. The first question they throw to me is that, who controls the world? Who controls the world? And I told them, I said, well, I don't know. But all I know is that there's someone somewhere that created the world and is the owner of the world. And that what makes us the believer, because you can't see God. What makes you a believer is that you believe in what you cannot see, but you understand that that thing is in existence. That what makes you a believer. So a believer that wants to force someone to believe in what he cannot see and says that you must see what I cannot see, that's not religion. So your action, your attitude will make people to accept your religion if you are truly sincere with that religion. And the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam once says, "Farifuni qabla an ta'buduni, wa man lam yarifuni fa kayfa ya'budun." No one should be forced to accept Islam, because your Islam, it becomes Islam when you know God, when you understand God, when you can appreciate God. You can only appreciate something that you can, if at all you cannot see it, you can feel it. You can feel it. I can say as a religious scholar that I can feel God. I understand God. I know how he operates. I feel him. I understand him. I receive some certain things that makes me understand that God is in existence. So you must allow everyone to get convinced about whatever he follows. So please, for those who are saying, oh, we are Christians, we are Muslims, we must fight for our religion, don't let's turn religion to politics. There's a difference between politics and religion. And don't politicize religion, because religion is spiritual, it's not physical. Let me just quickly read out some certain points for us to understand what I'm talking about. Before you become a Muslim, you must submit your will to Allah. Simply means that whatever comes your way, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have already devoted your life, yourself, to God Almighty. How many people that are shouting Islam, Islam today can do this? Many of them have some certain things behind the corner that they rely upon. They didn't rely upon that God they are talking about. So some certain people have some certain things that like gas in their body that they rely upon, that, oh, when the fight breaks out, this is what I will use to fight. That's not Islam. Islam simply means that you surrender totally to Almighty Allah. You believe totally in His omnipotence and omnipresence. You believe that He's in everywhere. You believe that He has all the power that to protect you. He has the power to provide for you. He has the power to care for you. So that's what makes you Islam. So when you have all these beliefs, you will not become a terrorist. You will not become a fanatic. you will be so reliant on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you understand the Quranic verse that says, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ بِالْمُهْتَدِينَ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Holy Quran that you, Muhammad, you cannot make someone to believe in me. You cannot make someone to become a Muslim, because I'm the one who guides the heart. No one can guide the heart. You know, the most deceptive things in human body is the heart. You can't understand what is in my heart. You can read my lips, you can read my face, but you can't read my heart. It's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that controls the heart. And we give it to Allah. Muhammad himself wasn't give that, he wasn't give that privilege to guide people, to declare where people are going. It's only Allah. It is for us to say it, that Islam is the way. And that is evangelism, that's dawah. But not to force people, or not to fight on behalf of Islam, not to argue on behalf of Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafizun. Islam is revealed by us, and we are to guide Islam, not you. We have the capacity to guide the Quran, not you. If somebody burns the Holy Quran, leave him alone. Zarni wal mukazibina uli nama wa maliyun qalila. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. He said, leave them for me. I will soon visit them. I will soon take care of them. Those who feel that, oh, they are powerful. Those who feel that, oh, they are more knowledgeable. Leave them alone. Don't argue with them. Islam is so simple. And Islam encourages us to take what is so simple about our religion. Islam is not just about, force. It's not just, we have to pull it down. We have to, no, that's not Islam. Islam comes with the name, peace. And anything that is contrary to this very particular name, that's not Islam. Islam wants us to be good. Islam wants us to be reasonable. Islam wants us to be responsible within our family, within our community. Let them know you as an ambassador of Islam. Let your colleagues know you as an ambassador of Islam. Someone came to Rasulullah and asked him, oh, Rasulullah, talk to me. Tell me something. And the Holy Prophet said, I've seen you, Rasulullah. Oh, Allah, oh, the Prophet of Allah, admonish me, preach to me, talk to me, educate me. And the Prophet says, La taghdab. Always try to exercise patience. Don't go into excessive anger. Always try to regulate your temperament. And that's the only thing that the Holy Prophet told the man. So that's to tell us that this is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that one better was sent to the entire world. It's not just to the Muslim. It's not just to the Muslims, it's to the entire world. For you to say, Anabi wa. It's Anabi to the entire world, not your Anabi. When you do it right, on that very particular day, possibly, mashallah, you become the follower of Muhammad. So we shouldn't be so relent as if we have collected the certificate of Al-Jannah. We should always be mindful of the way we approach people. We should see ourselves as a sinner, that, oh, Allah, accept what I'm doing. It's a freely Allah. It's a freely Allah. The Sahaba of yesteryears, they always go with humbleness. They always be humble. But these days, we are too much of ostentation. We are too full of ourselves with our salat, that in fact, it's not even up to anything before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are believing that, oh, because I pray Asubah, I pray Zur, I pray Asri, and you are now recording it as if I have 27 ladder here, 37 ladder here, I've been the Jama, I've did this, the ladder compilers. You will be disappointed before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says that, yes, the only people that will see my favor are those who come with Qalbu Salim, with humble mind. With humble mind. Inshallah, we go on short break now. We'll be right back very soon, mashallah. So continue on our lecture for today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wow, look at that. This thing is strong. It's a small armor covered with scales of keratin, just like our nails. Strong. The cells has no medicinal value. That's the mass and the means of the extinction. This one is a guy, and he was rescued from you should be started to what will be lost to keep having home sweet home. Please sow to a liver bush and report left right. But she steals from us all.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Yes, you are welcome back to your program, This Sabila Russia, the Path to Salvation. Yes, we've been talking to ourselves concerning religion tolerance, and we have to tell ourselves the bitter truth that we cannot be Pope more than Catholic. You cannot be Catholic more than Pope. That's the word. And you can't be Muslim more than Muhammad. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam related with non-Muslims when he got to Medina. He was there with them. In fact, while the Muslims were paying zakat, the non-Muslims were paying jizya. The jizya means tax. They are collecting all this together. They are among the cabinet of Muhammad to make sure that they were safe in Medina. The first word that emanates when Muhammad got to Medina is not by the Muslims per se. It's by the Medina people that, look, you pursue this man, you expelled him from Makkah, and you are still coming to Medina to come and meet him. You want to come and kill him in Medina? No, we have to protect him because he's our guest. So most of the people that went to that war, majority of them are not Muslims, but they are to protect Medina against the Makkah people. It's between Medina and Makkah. So that's to tell you that Muhammad was a peace-loving person that makes sure that, yes, everybody live peacefully. So now, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he related a lot with non-Muslims, with the Nasara and the Yahudiya. The Nasara are the Jews, the Yahudiya are the Christians, and even the Mushrik, those the polytheists. He related well with them. He did not look down upon anyone because he himself is an humble servant of Allah. You don't look down on people. We have some Muslims today that they look down on their fellow Muslims because of the dressing. Oh, he did not maintain nisfu shak. His trouser did not go up. He's not a good Muslim. There's no sign of black spot in his forehead. So when they see you, the first thing they will be looking at is whether you have a black spot in your forehead, so as to know whether you're a practicing Muslim. That's not the sign of faithfulness in Islam. No, that's not the sign. That's not the sign. So yes, we are not looking down on anyone who has that sign. But for you not to have that sign, that's not the sign. Allah is not looking at the physical. And Islam is not physical, it's spiritual. Somebody may accept Islam today in the morning, and before he died, he become a member of Al-Jannah. While some certain people were born into Islam, he is the one that gives call to prayer in the mosque. He is the one that goes to the mosque first. Because he has some certain dirtiness in his heart, he may not be allowed into Al-Jannah. So that's what we are saying, that it's not the amount of the salat that you perform. It's not the amount of hajj that you perform. It's not the amount, it's Allah's favor. He says, I read one Allah Akbar. The greatest that you should be looking forward to is my favor. Ask for Allah's favor. When you ask for Allah's favor, your last deed in this world will be accepted by Allah. You will be praying and you will die. I could remember my mother. I finished a program like this on one Friday. I'm going home, and she was at Oshobo. I just tried to look at her to check on her. I said, maybe I may not be able to come during the weekend. Let me just check on this woman and talk to her. I met her saying, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha. And I said, Mommy, what's happening? She has started early in the morning. They met her doing it. And I'm talking about around 4 o'clock in the evening. And she's still doing it. They said that she didn't accept food. But as usual, I thought, well, Mommy, I'm going. So when I said I'm going, she just stopped, paused a little bit, looked at me and said, okay. She just waved her hand. And she resumed. And I left. So the second day, I'm just early in the morning, they just called me and said, my mommy has passed on to Allah. So that's to tell you that if you want to have your akhirah world as La ilaha illallah, stop arguing. A lot of people will not be able to pronounce it because of too much argument. because too much of I mean the cleanliness, they see themselves as more clean than other people. So let's humble ourselves. Like I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the only heart that will be accepted by Allah is qalbu salim. Let's make our qalbu very salim. Let's look gentle, and let's make our religion, let's accept other people. Yes, they may not be worshiping Allah like us. The Christian may not be worshiping Allah like us. The Jews may not be worshiping Allah like us. Let's be with them. Let's be kind. If we are not relating in terms of our worship, we related in humanity. Let's make humanity come first. Religion is not ours, it's Allah's property. It says, Inna dina indallahi al-Islam. He didn't say that, oh, this religion is your religion. No, it is the commandment of Allah. It's Allah who commands us. And with that commandment itself, He gave us some certain respite. Yes, with that commandment, we were given some certain options. Yes, ima shakiran wa ima kafura. You either follow this way or you live this way. So by all this, mashallah, we get it right with Allah. And again, we must be a responsible Muslim. By being responsible means that, yes, you don't hate people because you have different religion, because your religion is different from them. You don't hate them. You love them. Because it is the responsibility upon you as a Muslim to love everybody unconditionally. You must love your wife. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permitted us to marry Christian as a wife. So when you marry Christian as a wife, you must love her. You love her family. You love everything about her. I have an affair. When he married his wife, he used to take the wife to the church. He would just stop by somewhere, and when they finish the service, the woman will come out and join her the husband, and they will leave the church and go home. Until one day when the woman said, well, I've observed you with your tolerance with everything. I decided to join you. So, and nobody raised any eyebrow. The family of the woman, they accepted the man because of the character, not because of the religion. If people is going to be accepted religion through you, it will be through your character, not this cantankerous way of life of saying you must this, you must that. And when all these things are about to start, we keep telling people that, look, you don't condemn other people's religion, because Allah has said it in the Quran that if you abuse their Lord or their God, they will abuse your God unknowingly. They will abuse your God. Anyone who will abuse someone's father, definitely his own father will be abused. He is the one who attracts that abuse to his own father. So let's tolerate one another, because religion tolerance definitely will assist us to have a very good nation. Yes, we are so lucky in Nigeria with this difference in religion. We can manage it well, mashallah, and it will fast our growth and development nationwide. So let's tolerate one another, as I was saying. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be with every one of us. And when we want to preach, please preach good about your religion. Don't condemn any other people's religion. Just talk about your own religion and leave other people's religion. It's in the Quranic principle. Lakum dinukum waliyadin. Your religion is yours. The only prophet did not say enyi osheboyi, enyi keferi, enyi kiriyoyi. It's common to some certain people. Calling Christian kiriyo is wrong. And we keep saying all this, mashallah, that is wrong. You don't condemn people. You don't desecrate people. You don't derogate people. You make sure that, yes, let's live harmoniously together, mashallah. So please, when the Christians are trying to preach, please preach your own religion. Tell us good about your religion. Like I said, those people that came to my house, they told me about their religion. They did not condemn my own religion. And we part in peace. So if I want to preach my religion, I will tell you about my religion. And if I want to ask anything about Christianity, I won't go to a Muslim. I will go to a Christian to go and ask about his religion. Tell me about your religion. I want to know more about your religion. Please, what did this thing mean? What did the Bible mean when it says this and this? Don't go to Muslim to ask about Bible. And don't go to Christian to ask about Islam. Don't go to either to ask about traditional religion. Go to them and ask. Yes, you can increase your knowledge by asking them. You can ask about Ifa. That doesn't make you Ifa worshiper. You want to add more knowledge to yourself. We have a lot of ways to increase our knowledge. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our knowledge and guide every one of us. I thank you sincerely, mashallah, for listening. All we are talking about and what we are discussing today is religion tolerance. Let's tolerate one another. Let's tolerate our family, our neighbors, our members at work. Oh, I'm a Muslim, I can't talk to you. No, that is not a trace of good Islam. May Almighty Allah guide every one of us. MashaAllah. Until next week when I come your way with another beautiful edition of your program, Sabila Rashad, I remain yours, Sheikh Dr. Murtada BME As-Sunusi. Assalam wa ila liqa.
ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan ló ń kojú àwọn ará àdúgbò àwọn ará àwùjọ tí ohun ò dẹ̀ dókè ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìnira ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìyà làwọn èèyàn ń kojú rẹ̀ ní àdúgbò ojú ọ̀nà tó kù díẹ̀ káàtó iná ọba tó mẹ́ẹ̀ tó ń ṣe ségesège àwọn tó ń hu ìwà àbàṣejẹ́ òbí tí ń sun lẹ́rùn àti àwọn nǹkan tí ò tí ì dé tí gbọ́ ìjọba ṣé wọ́n ní etí ọba nílé etí ọba lóko èèyàn náà ló ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ òun náà ló jẹ́ kí ìkànnì Western Spring Television pé ètò tí ó jẹ́ kẹ́yìn ara lé ẹ̀yin ará àwùjọ kẹ́lẹ́ mọ́ sọ bí tí bàtà bá ti ń ta yín lẹ́sẹ̀ fún àwọn aláṣẹ ìjọba ohun tẹ́ ẹ̀ ṣe ni wípé ẹ mú fóònù yín ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yín ẹ dábù rẹ̀ ẹ mọ̀ yá ní gbọ́rọ̀ ẹ dábù rẹ̀ ẹ ṣe àkàálẹ̀ ohun tó ń fẹ́ àmójútó ìjọba ohun tó ń fẹ́ àmójútó àwọn aláṣẹ ohun tó ń fẹ́ àmójútó àwọn elétò ìlera àwọn elétò ààbò àti àwọn míì tí ọ̀rọ̀ kàn ẹ má jẹ́ kí fọ́nrán náà ìyẹn fídíò tẹ́ máa ṣe àkálẹ̀ rẹ̀ kó mọ̀ ju ìṣẹ́jú 2 tàbí 3 lọ ẹ má fi ṣọwọ́ sí wa ní orí WhatsApp lórí ẹ̀rọ 0803 865 1049 0803 865 1049 ẹ jẹ́ kí gbogbo àwọn fọ́nrán yín àwọn àwòrán yín kó máa wọlé orí ètò ojú ẹlẹ́rìí ẹ̀yin gangan lẹ́jẹ́ ojú ẹlẹ́rìí ohun táwọn èèyàn nílò ohun tó ń jẹ àwọn èèyàn láwùjọ níyà ilé tí ò nílé ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀ ibi tí ò níbi tó ti ń dẹ ẹ̀gbin nù tó wá jẹ́ pé ẹ̀gbin wọn ní àwọn ará àdúgbò àwọn aráàlú lára gbogbo ẹ fi tó àwọn aláṣẹ létí ohun tẹ́ ẹ nílò ní agbègbè yín ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn aláṣẹ mọ̀ orúkọ mi ni Adéyẹmí Ọlábọ̀dé èmi ni atọ́kùn ètò ojú ẹlẹ́rìí lórí Western Spring Television ìkànnì 150 ní gbogbo ọjọ́ ajé láago 2:00 ọ̀sán.
Ìbàdàn gẹ́gẹ́ bí orúkọ rẹ̀ ìlú tí a tẹ̀dó sábẹ́ Olúmọ ó jẹ́ ibùgbé àwọn ẹ̀yà Ẹ̀gbá àti Òwu tó jìjàǹgbara lọ́wọ́ Aláàfin Ọ̀yọ́ àtijọ́ láàrin ọdún 1775 sí 1780 ní akọni Lísàbí Àgbòǹgbò Àkàlà léwájú wọn láti dáwọ́ sísan ìṣákọ́lẹ̀ fún Aláàfin dúró ìdí nìyí tí àwọn ọmọ Abẹ́òkúta ṣe ń pe ara wọn ní ọmọ Ẹ̀gbá mọ Lísàbí Àgbòǹgbò Àkàlà. Abẹ́òkúta jẹ́ ìlú àwọn ọ̀làjú àti aláfẹ́ àwọn èèyàn aláwọ̀ funfun ló fi bẹ̀ ṣe ìlú pàápàá lásìkò ìjọba àwọn ìsìn ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì àkọ́kọ́ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà ní St. Peters tó wà ní Aké ilé ìwòsàn àkọ́kọ́ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà Sacred Heart Hospital ìlú Abẹ́òkúta ló wà Aláké lórúkọ oyè ọba ìlú Ẹ̀gbá wà ní ibùdó tó tẹ́jú láti lè fi rí gbogbo ìlú Abẹ́òkúta ní orí òkè náà àwọn ọ̀gbọ́n àti onímọ̀ púpọ̀ bí àwọn Wọlé Ṣóyínká Ọ̀jìnmí akọni Obìnmiláyọ̀ Ransom Kuti àtọ̀pọ̀ àwọn míì iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ àti àdìrẹ níṣẹ́ tó gbayì nílùú Abẹ́òkúta Ẹ̀gbá yìí.
ẹ̀dùn ìmọ̀ràn ọ̀kan ìbò sí láti lè jẹ́ kálukú sí òdiwọ̀n ìdílé wọn títọ́ ọ̀bẹ ní oṣù ìdílé kan tó pè níjà àti ẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n àtẹ́lẹwọ́ ẹni láwọn èyí bá sì ní yóò sọ bí yóò ṣe rí ẹbí ro inú kòlùkùn láwọn lọ́láyà níbẹ̀ lọ́mọ Afọlábí wọn aláìsí méjì lórí ọ̀rọ̀ tó náwó fún àwọn máa gbélé wọn dàbí tó bí ó pàdé yìí lórí ètò yìí ní gbogbo ọjọ́ àbẹ́ta láago 8 òwúrọ̀ tí àpẹẹrẹ ó máa láàrin ọ̀sẹ̀ ní ìkànnì Western Spring Television ìkànnì 100 lórí StarTime gbẹ́bírò tọ̀sẹ̀ yìí ó máa yàtọ̀ ní kò ní yàtọ̀ fọ́.
Èkọ́sì pàkété ìlú ọgbọ́n ètò ọlọ́gbọ́n jọjà mú àwọn òmùgọ̀ àdìmú nírù ẹni dèkò tí ògbọ́n ọgbọ́n rẹ̀ dọ̀rùn àkejì gẹ́gẹ́ bí àrọ́bá ẹ̀tọ́ tẹ ìṣẹ́rí tó sì kọ́kọ́ gbé ibẹ̀ lọ 1699 jẹ́ ọdẹ tí orúkọ rẹ̀ ń jẹ́ Ògúnfúnminíre ọmọ ọba ìlú Ilé Ifẹ̀ ní í ṣe ó máa ń ṣọdẹ lọ síbẹ̀ láti Ifẹ̀ ó sì pàgọ́ tó ti máa ń sinmi ṣáájú kó tún tó lọ bẹ ilé rẹ̀ wò nígbà tó yá àwọn ọdẹ mìíràn wá darapọ̀ mọ́ láti ṣọdẹ nínú igbó yìí ni wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣọdẹ tí wọ́n sì ń pọ̀ sí pẹ̀lú àwọn ènìyàn wọn báyìí ni wọ́n ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní tàn kálẹ̀ tó fi dé gbogbo ibi tí Èkó fẹ̀ dé lónìí ìlú Èkó ìlú ńlá ìlú Èkó yìí ni ibùdó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà wà tẹ́lẹ̀ rí pàápàá lásìkò ìjọba amúnisìn ṣáájú ọdún 1991 tí wọ́n gbé lọ sílùú Àbújá Èkó àdèlé ọmọ agun àgẹ̀rẹ̀ Èkó ọmọ afíjúwọjà arìngbẹ́ndẹ́kẹ́ ọ̀bùnwọjà pàṣẹọ̀ṣẹ̀ ẹ̀yọ̀ ní bàbá Èkó àríjó ṣe bí ọba Èkó ọmọ odò tí ò ṣe é yájú sí Èkó arómi sá lẹ́gbẹ́lẹ́gbẹ́.
Bẹ́gùn ọ̀bà jáde mọ̀rìnwó la kọ́kọ́ rí ọwọ́ gẹ̀ẹ́sì àní síwájú rìn bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti ń gbúrò wa tẹ́lẹ̀ kò sóòrò wà ń bẹ̀rù tẹ̀ pé ọmọ yín olólùfẹ́ yín ọ̀rẹ́ yín ní ẹ̀sùn orí gidi ẹ̀ lè sùsù tó bá wẹ̀ sí ìyá burúkú tẹ̀ ó sì ẹ̀ fara balẹ̀ kẹ́ ẹ máa gbé ètò owó ọ̀dọ̀ kan sí ní 90 kí wọ́n bí òmìnir bọ̀ ẹ̀ àpèjì ẹ̀ máa gbà ẹ̀ wà ń bẹ̀ ọ̀nlẹ́
In the heart of Nigeria, such as all in the land. While we let's go on Yoshua and encounter the ocean river goddess who promised protection and prosperity in exchange for an animal sacrifice. Because of the Buddha ceremony, the point moment, while I was after the temple. This was the successful and that's not the challenge.
Akí àkàlàbọ̀ ọmọ ilé ìgbèjì ẹ̀wò akí ọwọ́rọ̀gún àga alágòdẹ akí tẹ̀ǹtẹ̀rẹ̀ tí balẹ̀ tí jẹ̀ fún àwọn akọni mo tún kí yín káàbọ̀ sórí àkọ́tún ètò yín ètò wa bó ṣe ń lọ lórí ìkànnì Western Spring Television Channel 190 StarTimes DTT ẹ káàbọ̀ ó bó o ní ṣàlàáfíà tí mo wà náà ni mo bá yín àyà àjẹjọ látàtà pèsè lórí ètò yìí mi àtàwọn lámẹ̀ẹ́tọ̀ mi lónìí yóò tún yára ọ̀tọ̀ tó pé a tó ti wà nílé agbára wọ́n ti kẹ̀tẹ̀fẹ̀ síbí yìí nínú ọlá ńlá wọn ẹ mọ́ wàá gbàgbé o bẹ́ẹ̀ tún ṣe ń wò wáyé ẹ tún lè bá wa pàdé lórí àwọn òpó ìbánidọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ wa Facebook YouTube TikTok Instagram at Western Spring Television Joshua ọmọ adẹnipẹ̀kun lórúkọ tèmi èmi lọ́mọ ọwọ́ ọmọ ẹkùn ọmọ pátákó ẹ̀rẹ̀kẹ̀sìn ọmọ eléré mẹ́fà omi àtàn bẹ́ẹ̀ bá tún pè mí lọ́hùn bàbá tíṣà pẹ́kẹ́rẹ́ kí ara mi ló ṣe gbígbó ntajà kíkàn ń tàgó dídẹrẹ́ nìkan ní báwọn kétì ẹ̀ ní mẹ́à atẹ́pẹpẹ ètò yìí ètò wa bó ṣe ń lọ èrè wá èròyà ẹ̀jẹ̀ àjọgbọ́ ẹ wá nǹkan fìdílé tàbí kẹ́ fìdílé nǹkan torí pé ètò yìí ò tún yà lára ọ̀tọ̀ lónìí ibi à ń lọ òjìnà o ibi tá a ṣe bí ẹni yà sí ńlọpọ̀ lámẹ̀ẹ́tọ̀ mi sì ti wà nílé agbára kó tó wá di wípé ń lọ sórí tá a fẹ́ pẹ̀kẹ́lù gan ẹ má gbàgbé bó ti ń lọ gẹ́gẹ́ mo ṣe sọ́lẹ̀ kan lètò kan tí ń tàn mọ́lẹ̀ sóhun tí ń lọ lórílẹ̀‐èdè yìí lágbọn ètò àṣà àtiṣe lágbọn ètò ọrọ̀ ajé lágbọn ètò ààbò ọ̀rọ̀ kan lẹ̀kan bá lé wọ́n pé nítorí bá kan rógùn báyìí ṣe mọ̀ ó ti kàn gbá kọ. lámẹ̀tọ́ mi alàgbà Ikúṣèrú Olúwaṣẹ́gun ẹ̀ bá ń dákọ̀ mo tiẹ̀ títí dákọ̀ ó dẹ̀ káwọn ọmọ Nàìjíríà kẹ́ tó dákọ̀ yìí.
mo kí gbogbo ọmọ Nàìjíríà pátápátá níbi tí ẹ ti ń gbọ́ wa orúkọ mi ni Ikúṣèrú John Ṣẹ́gun.
ẹ ṣeun Yorùbá gbọ́ wọn lẹ́nu oníkọ̀lá àti gbọ́kùn àmọ́ kó tó di pa lọ sórí tá a fẹ́ pẹ̀kẹ́lù ní ìjẹta làjọ ìṣọ̀kan ilẹ̀ àgbáyé ló jẹ́ ọjọ́ kan tí wọ́n yà sọ́tọ̀ láti gbógun ti ìṣẹ́ ohun òṣì jákèjádò ilẹ̀ àgbáyé ìjẹta gan kọ́ ẹ jẹ́ ń pè é lánàá lọ́jọ́ tí wọ́n yà á lẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ tí wọ́n là kalẹ̀ láti gbógun ti ìṣẹ́ àti ìyà iṣẹ́ ohun òṣì jákèjádò ilẹ̀ àgbáyé ẹja wá sórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà bọ́mọdé ti ń ké làgbà ń ké olówó ń pariwo mẹ̀kúnnù ń fi gbé bọ́nu ẹni ń gbowó oṣù gan kò tó ná ẹni dálé iṣẹ́ lẹ̀ mí ò fẹ́ rí owó àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ san orin kan ni gbogbo èèyàn ń kọ lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà lẹ́yìn tí í ṣe ìlú lè kò sówó lóde bẹ́ẹ̀pọ̀ ti gbẹ́nu òkè lálálá fẹ́fẹ́ gáàsì gbẹ́nu òkè iṣu wọn gààrí wọn àgbàdo wọn ìrẹsì ní ọmọ dọdọ ọ̀hún wọ́n wá ń wò pé sórílẹ̀-èdè kọ́lá wà tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ bí àwọn èèyàn wá ń wò pé ṣèjọba tiẹ̀ ń ṣe nǹkan tá a rán wọn bí ǹjẹ́ ṣé lóòótọ́ ni wọ́n wà fún gbáyé gbádùn gbogbo wa gbígbógun ti ìṣẹ́ ohun ìyà jákèjádò ilẹ̀ àgbáyé orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà gẹ́gẹ́ bí ibi tá a fẹ́ tanná wò lónìí tí bó ṣe ń lọ gangan tó fẹ́ pẹ̀kẹ́lù tá a sì tún yànnàná bó ṣe ń lọ lórílẹ̀-èdè yìí ìṣẹ́ ohun òṣì wọ́n pé ó gògò sí lórílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà lágbọn bí nǹkan ti ṣe lé kókó dágun sí eléyìí tó lóyìnbó ń pè ní inflation òun náà ń gbẹnu òkè bájọ tí ń ṣètò nǹkan ṣe gbé kalẹ̀ ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa lórílẹ̀-èdè yìí ibi abára wa rèé o àti bí nǹkan dé dúró ẹ má jẹ́ ń bá lọ wo ná alàgbà Ikúṣèrú Olúwaṣẹ́gun gbígbógun tìṣẹ́ ohun òṣì lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà wọ́n pe àjọ ìṣọ̀kanlẹ̀ àgbáyé ẹ mọ́ sì tún gbàgbé wọ́n kéde orílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà láìpẹ́ tí gbogbo wa mọ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹjẹ́ ń pè ní olúùlú ìṣẹ́ ohun ìyà ní gbogbo ilẹ̀ àgbáyé poverty capital ẹ wá rí i pé àìlásọ lọ́rùn pàká ó tó àpérò gbogbo ọmọ eriwo níbi ọ̀rọ̀ dé dúró lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà àwọn ọlọ́jà ń gbọ́jà kalẹ̀ òun lẹ́ ń wò lójú fọ́nrán wọn ń kọjá lọ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ò tí ẹ̀rẹ́ èèyàn rà á torí pé gbogbo ẹ̀ gbówó lérí làlàlà alàgbà Ikúṣèrú Olúwaṣẹ́gun bí nǹkan ti rí lágbọn ètò ọrọ̀ ajé ẹ̀ ń kọ́kọ́ tẹ̀ sí yín ná ó ti rí lọ́dọ̀ yín.
ní Nàìjíríà yìí kò easy for everybody gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ti sọ ní ọ̀sẹ̀ méjì tó lọ. mo ní ìlú tó jẹ́ wípé ọ̀rọ̀ ajé kò lọ geere and then à ń gbé ọjà wọlé à ń gbé ọjà jáde. mo dẹ̀ sọ wípé ìlú tó bá jẹ́ wípé orílẹ̀-èdè tó bá jẹ́ wípé wọ́n máa ń gbé ọjà wọlé tán import ọjà wọlé orílẹ̀-èdè yẹn wọ́n lè rí kò lè sí
ìdàgbàsókè.
ẹ
pé bí n bá gbọ́ yín ẹ pé orílẹ̀-èdè tó bá ti jẹ́ wípé ọjà tí wọ́n ń kó wọlé ni wọ́n ń dúró lé lórí jù náà fi ń ṣaranídìí náà gbẹ́kẹ̀lé gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìpìlẹ̀ ọrọ̀ ajé wọn ṣé mo gbà ó yẹ tẹ̀wájú.
ṣé tẹ rí ta máa sọ̀rọ̀ nípa poverty ìṣẹ́ nǹkan mẹ́ta ni a mọ̀ tó ṣe pàtàkì.
ẹ farabalẹ̀ ṣàlàyé.
oúnjẹ ilé aṣọ. ẹ rí oúnjẹ ṣe pàtàkì púpọ̀ ṣé wàá rí gbogbo oúnjẹ yìí tó jẹ́ kókó tí a lè gbìn lórílẹ̀‐èdè yìí tí a lè ṣe a lè make sure pé a lè provide ẹ̀ fún ọmọ Nàìjíríà a ṣe tẹ́ bá dẹ̀ rántí ààrẹ orílẹ̀‐èdè yìí ṣe ó ti ṣe nǹkan ńlá fún wa nípa local government independent.
pé kí òmìnira ètò ìṣúná.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni. So that ìpínlẹ̀ local government, that's local government, wọ́n máa lè ní growth, there will be development.
Ó ti ẹ̀dá bá.
Ìdàgbàsókè. Ìdàgbàsókè máa jẹ́ kí ọrọ̀ ajé, nǹkan oko, kí gbogbo kinní yìí ká padà síbẹ̀. Ẹ máa rí i pé ní ìgbà administration Buhari, ó ṣe gbogbo nǹkan, so many policies ló facilitate.
lára àwọn eléyìí tí ẹ náà ṣàgbékalẹ̀ ìwọ̀n èwo lẹ faramọ́jù ó yẹ bọ́n bọ́rọ̀ bọ̀.
Ṣé wàá rí ọ̀rọ̀ Nàìjíríà yìí, a mọ bọ́n ṣe máa ń gbé ètò kalẹ̀, a mọ bọ́n ṣe ń evaluate tẹ̀lé àwọn wo ló máa benefit, because ọ̀rọ̀ ti wá di pé ta ni ó mọ̀, ta lè mọ̀, tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá mọ anybody ẹ̀ lè benefit kankan. Gbogbo policy tá a dẹ̀ ń rí gan náà ni èèyàn mélòó náà benefit ni. So poverty, ìṣẹ́, ó jẹ́ nǹkan pàtàkì tẹ́ pé tá a bá múra lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà yìí, tá a bá múra, ó máa dín tí agbára wọ ò ká. Tẹ́ bá wo UNESCO, ìyẹn ẹ̀ka ti United Nations Organization, wọ́n ti mú ọjọ́ yìí, that is nínú oṣù kẹwàá on the 17th. Kíní yìí dẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti 1987. Wọ́n sọ pé no poverty. Kò sí ìṣẹ́, eradication of poverty. Tẹ́ bá tún wá rí, ó tún wá jẹ́ one of the goal of sustainable development goal SDG. Ẹ̀ka United Nations tún ní.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Nínú agenda wọn nínú 17, the first agenda tó ní is eradication of poverty. Ká yọ kúrò, a lè dẹ́kun ìṣẹ́, but a lè ṣe kí ni, a lè reduce ẹ̀.
Ẹ wá jẹ́ n tarí ìbéèrè sí ẹ tẹ̀wájú, a lè reduce ẹ̀ ibi ẹ sọ̀rọ̀ nínú bóyá kí n ran ilé tí mi bá béèrè ìbéèrè lọ́wọ́ yín. Iṣẹ́ òun òṣè orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà ṣèjọba ní ń jẹ́ kó gògó sí ni àbáwọn èèyàn wa gan tó ń pakun, ó yẹ tẹ̀wájú.
Ìjọba ni, gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ti sọ. Ṣé rí, mo sọ kinní kan, mo ní ọ̀sẹ̀ méjì tó lọ, mo ní ó ní nǹkan kan tó ń pè ní new economic world order.
Kí ni ń jẹ́ báwọn?
Ó ti wá pé lóyún nípa ọrọ̀ ajé ní gbogbo àgbáyé, àwọn European yìí wọ́n ti gbé àwọn ètò kan kalẹ̀ tó jẹ́ wípé ṣe rí gbogbo àwọn country tó ń ti colonize, especially Africa yìí, wọn ò lè mórí bọ́. Ẹ bá wo United Nations Organization, African country 54 countries la ní l'Africa, which contribute about 23%. Ní United Nations General Assembly, àwa la pọ̀jù láti Africa. 54 countries, more than any other country ní continent mi. Which means ní United Nations ní 193 member states in the entire world láti ní. Tẹ́ bá yọ 54 kúrò fún Africa nìkan, kí ló kù? Tẹ́ bá yọ 54 kúrò, so ó mì pé a ní ipa in the United Nations General Assembly in terms of decision.
Orílẹ̀-èdè yìí?
Decision in the entire world.
Ṣé orílẹ̀-èdè ilẹ̀ ń sọ? Àbí ilẹ̀ adúláwọ̀ Áfíríkà?
Ní gbogbo àgbáyé. Tí tẹ́ bá yọ Áfíríkà kúrò.
Ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ti yé mi báyìí.
Tẹ́ bá yọ Áfíríkà kúrò, kò sí nǹkan kan tó ń pè ní world economy. So àwọn people yóò ní jẹ́ kí a gbádùn orílẹ̀-èdè wa nítorí pé kí ni àwọn resources wa yìí tá ní àrùbá pé a ní tẹ̀gbọ́, a ní wọn. Ẹ wo Dangote refinery, kí ni impact ẹ̀?
A sì ń bọ̀ nbẹ̀ náà.
Ṣé ẹ rí gbogbo ẹ̀? Tó tẹ́ bá wá wò ó, kí ni ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè yìí tó ti ṣe sẹ́yìn, ìyẹn Goodluck, ó ní Nàìjíríà, ó ní ọ̀rọ̀ nípa adarí, problem of leadership ni problem wà ní Nàìjíríà.
Lórí ipá wa ń kọjá wọlé tẹ mẹ́nubà lẹ́ẹ̀kan, ìhà wo lẹ̀yin kọ sí? Gbogbo tá à ń lò lórílẹ̀-èdè báyìí, ilẹ̀ òkèèrè láyé.
Mo ti, in fact, ó jẹ́ nǹkan tẹ́ pé kò múnú mi dùn. Because ẹ bá wo China náà wọ́n kó wọn lẹ́rù. India náà wọ́n kó wọn lẹ́rù. Tiwa ló ṣẹlẹ̀ tẹ́ pé tiwa ní Áfíríkà yìí ò yàtọ̀. third world country ẹ máa rí India nísìnyí wọ́n wà lára third or fourth largest economy growing economy in the world.
ẹ jẹ́ á padà sórí ìbéèrè kí ló sọnù gan níbo la ti ṣì gan lórílẹ̀‐èdè alàgbà Ìkúṣèlú
ibi tá a ti ṣì
lágbọn ètò ọrọ̀ ajé wa gan.
ibi tá a ti ṣì kò ju ìgbà tá a gba òmìnira ìgbà yẹn a ti ṣì.
ìgbà kí ló ti dàrú.
tẹ bá wo àwọn tó gba àwọn adarí wa gbogbo wọn ò ní òye àti darí orílẹ̀-èdè yìí. bá mu láti 1960 dé 1966 that's the first coup tó ṣẹlẹ̀. tẹ bá wo gbogbo àwọn ẹ rí i pé issue pé ìwọ Yorùbá ìwọ Ìgbò ìwọ Haúsá ó dá wàhálà lẹ̀. even ní western region a rí ìjà láàrin Ọbáfẹ́mi àti Akíntọ́lá. a rí ìjà tẹ́ pé even political party tán fọ́ọ̀mù ńgbà yẹn a rí NPC ní north a rí AG ní west a rí NPC. tó tẹ́ bá rí pé nígbà tán fi gba mantle àti darí that is nígbà tán fi bọ́ sórí oyè gbogbo wọn lóye. and then nígbà yẹn náà bóyá tó òyìnbó àwọn tó darí wa àwọn British ń tán bá ní káwọn olórí yẹn ṣe ló ń ṣe. tábà tún wá gbé wá sígbà táwọn ológun wọlé ní 1960 ẹ tún mọ tó tún ṣẹlẹ̀ ní 1966 yìí ó tún bọ́ sí civil war 1967 náà. kí ló tún ṣẹlẹ̀ ìwọ kan àwọn Haúsá àwọn kan ní àwọn Ìgbò Biafra ó gbé wa lọ àwọn 1970 tẹ́tẹ́ bá wá wo gbogbo ẹ̀ tẹ́ wò ẹ máa rí i pé àwọn òyìnbó yóò fi wá lọ́rùn lẹ̀.
ṣé àwọn lọ́wọ́ à ń di ọ̀rọ̀ wa tó jẹ́ orí wa.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
táwọn ní ń bá wa ṣèjọba ni.
ẹ wo gbogbo àwọn tó contest ní 2023 Obi ó lọ Chatham House ó lọ òun yọ first subsidy Àtíkù lọ Chatham House even àwọn orílẹ̀-èdè yìí lọ.
ẹ padà sórí wa Nàìjíríà àgbà Ìkúṣèlú Olúwaṣẹ́gun ẹ wò látàárọ̀ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ayé wa Yorùbá bọ̀ wọ́n ní onílọ́wọ́ àlejò dìde àlejò gan dìṣẹ́rù lámẹ̀ẹ́tọ́ ni ẹ jẹ́ pé ẹ ṣáà ń lọ ọjà lọ ra nǹkan ẹ já wa wò àwọn èèyàn gan wò pé bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ń dẹ̀bìrù ìjọba ẹ dẹ̀bìrù àwọn ọlọ́jà wọ́n pé ọ̀kan lára àwọn nǹkan tí ń pagidí náà iṣẹ́ àtòṣe orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà tí nǹkan tó ṣe le koko ni pé àwọn ọlọ́jà gan fojú àwọn èèyàn rí wọ́n pé àwọn ọlọ́jà náà iye tán ń rajà wọ́n fi lé gbogbo wọn wà máa kígbe mọ́ wọ́n wà máa purọ́ mọ́ dọ́là wọ́n máa purọ́ mọ́ dọ́là wọ́n máa purọ́ mọ́ dọ́là pé kì í tì í ṣe pé ẹ ń jẹ̀fọ́ ní àkùrọ̀ yóò purọ́ mọ́ dọ́là ẹni sa èkùrọ́ nú adalẹ́kù yóò purọ́ mọ́ dọ́là ọmọ elégùsọ̀ yóò purọ́ mọ́ ẹni fẹ́ kí ló kọ́ ìwọ ọ̀rọ̀ wọ́lá àlà oko yóò dọ́là tí wọ́n ojú wo lẹ fi wò ó.
ṣe rí lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà yìí mo ti sọ fún mi pé mo gbé ní nọ́ọ̀tì dáadáa tẹ bá rí Hausa man tó bá ta nǹkan fún yín ní 50 naira.
ẹ gbọ́ Hausa báyìí.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
ẹ gbọ́ dáadáa.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni. tẹ rí Hausa man tó bá ta nǹkan fún yín ní 50 naira tẹ bá padà lọ́bẹ̀ tó bá mọ̀ yín á tún tà fún yín ní 50 naira. ẹ jẹ́ ń ṣàpẹẹrẹ ó ní ìyá kan lọ́nà capital ibi tí mò ń gbé ìyá yẹn ń ta ata ó ní màmá mo fẹ́ ra ata èlé tán gbé sórí tábìlì mo ní èlò ni wọ́n ní 500 naira mo ló ti wọ́n jù wọ́n làwọn láta tí wọ́n ní wọ́n ti bá ti lọ sọ́dọ̀ àbókí tó ń ta ata nísàlẹ̀ ó ní 200 naira ni màá rà ó dẹ̀ pọ̀ ju ilé lọ màmá àmọ́ ní Haúsá ò lè tà fún ọ mo ní mò ń bọ̀ mo lọ sàlẹ̀ mo ra ata pẹ̀lú tòmátò 400 naira ó ju èyí tí ata nìkan tí màmá yẹn gbé kalẹ̀ lọ níta fi ṣera wa ló pọ̀ jù níta fi ń ṣera wa ló pọ̀ jù ẹlòmíì èrè àjẹjù ló ń pa ẹlòmíì ò fẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́ wọ́n fẹ́ èrè àjẹjù ló ń pa wá bọ́ ẹ wá ní blame àwọn èèyàn because ẹ rí welfare àwọn èèyàn ó ṣe pàtàkì ẹ rí i pé nísìnyí àti rán ọmọ lọ school nísìnyí ó ti di nǹkan in fact ó ti di nǹkan tẹ́ pé òbí gan ò lè wọn ò tiẹ̀ lè rán ọmọ mẹ́ta lẹ́ẹ̀kan ṣoṣo lọ skul kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ gbogbo nǹkan ti bú epo dọ́là tẹ̀dẹ̀ ń sọ yìí náà nísìnyí kí ló fà á torí pé à ń gbé ọjà jáde à ń gbé ọjà wọlé
ẹ já padà
èyí tá a fẹ́ èyí tá a fẹ́ wọ́n ti wá pè Nàìjíríà as a dumping ground ibi tẹ́ pé ọjà táwọn kinní yìí àwọn òyìnbó yìí tí wọ́n lè lò tí wọ́n lè consume ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà Áfíríkà wọn.
ẹ já padà sórí ọ̀rọ̀ epo kí lè rò pé ìjọba lè ṣe láti mú ìtura bá ọ̀rọ̀ epo kó tó di pé bá a bá lọ sódì kejì lọ́nà bá a bá dé gan ń bi àwọn ìbéèrè kan wà tí ń bi yín àmọ́ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ajé yìí epo gan fẹ́ẹ̀ ni okùn ẹ̀mí wa báyìí lórílẹ̀‐èdè tẹ́ ẹ bá wò bẹ́ẹ̀ mo purọ́ pẹtiróòlù ni o n fẹ́ẹ̀ lokùn tó gbé ẹ̀mí wa ró kí lè rò pé ìjọba lè ṣe lórí ọ̀rọ̀ epo pẹtiróòlù yìí.
kò sí.
ẹ̀yin ní ò sí.
kò sí.
ká mọ́ lọ báyìí kí ogun ẹ̀ wọ́n báyìí kó máa lọ.
kò sí.
ẹ faramọ́.
sẹ́rí ìdí tí mo sọ pé kò sí.
ẹ faramọ́ bí nǹkan tí wọ́n bọ́ ti ń lọ.
mi ò faramọ́ bọ̀ kò sí. sẹ́rí olórí tí a bá dìbò yàn tó yanra rẹ̀ tí ò sì sí táwọn èèyàn ṣe tí a sì ń pariwo kò sí dáṣe sí.
ṣé n tẹ́ ń sọ nípa ààrẹ tó wà lórí àlééfà yanra rẹ̀ ni àbí alàgbà Ṣẹ́gun.
ó yanra rẹ̀ ni mo lè sọ. bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
ẹ̀rí mọ̀ jẹ́ mi ìsún bẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ mi.
èmi àti yín mọ̀ pé èmi àti yín.
ẹ̀yin ńlá mẹ́ẹ̀tọ́.
tó mo wá fẹ́ bí
ní ìbéèrè lọ́wọ́ rárá ẹ ní sùn.
ok mo fẹ́ bí ní ìbéèrè yìí.
tèmi ní kí n béèrè lọ́wọ́ yín tí yín ni kẹ́ ẹ dáhùn.
ẹ jẹ́ n béèrè ìbéèrè.
tí mi ò mọ̀ ẹ má pé mo mọ̀.
àwọn ọmọ Nàìjíríà ní ìbéèrè.
ẹ má pé mo mọ̀ ọjà.
wípé ètò ìdìbò tá a ṣe ní ọdún tó lọ ọdún tó kọjá. ṣé ó tọ̀nà? ẹ máa gbọ́ o according to Electoral Act 2022 tó ń ṣe wọ́n ní tá a bá ṣe ń dìbò kí ni bẹ́ẹ̀ láì àwọn ọmọ Nàìjíríà ó ṣe mọ rí result.
ẹ ti padà sórí ọ̀rọ̀ òbò.
mo padà náà ní ìtọ́jú ẹ̀ sọ mi pé olórí tó yanra rẹ̀ táwọn èèyàn ò yàn illegitimate leader táwọn èèyàn ò yàn so táwọn èèyàn ò dẹ̀ jà sí pé n tó ń lọ yìí o aláyé àyàn o.
ẹ pé kò sí ní tí wọ́n lè rí ṣe sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ̀.
kò sí o.
ẹ jẹ́ tíari ìbéèrè sí i bẹ́ẹ̀ bára ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu bá tẹ́ ẹ dún wájú ààrẹ ìmọ̀ràn wo lẹ́ fún ààrẹ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ iléepo dé ẹ pé kò sí mọ̀ràn náà tẹ́ fún wọn àbí.
n tí màá sọ.
ó yẹ sọ báyìí.
n tí màá sọ fún ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè yìí ni pé n tó bá mọ̀ kó lè ṣe fún ọmọ Nàìjíríà láti dẹ́kun ìṣẹ́.
ẹ jẹ́ ń taari eléyìí sí i ẹ tí ì dáhùn béèrè mi kí lẹ́yìn rò pé wọ́n lè ṣe láti fòpin sí bí ọ̀rọ̀ epo.
àwọn nǹkan oúnjẹ.
àwọn òwòye kan wò kó tó di pẹ́ sọ àwọn òwòye kan wò.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
wọ́n pé orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà ó dàbí ipa ọ̀rọ̀ wa dàbí ẹni tó lọ́kàn létí fọwọ́ kómi ọ̀rọ̀ wa dàbí ẹni tó ní kọ̀ǹkọ̀ṣọ̀ ńlé tó jẹ́ wípé ó ń kígbe póun ò rámọ̀là jẹ èlùbọ́ sì kúnlé bákan ẹ báyìí lọ́rọ̀ rí wọ́n pé ẹbù fọ́pọ̀ Dangote wọ́n pé a ní mẹ́rin ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ wa dàbí ẹni tó fẹ́ ìyàwó mẹ́rin lé tó rẹwà lóbìn tó fẹ́ wọn lé tí wà ń lọ ọ̀ta pé ìyá obìnrin ń jẹun wọ́n pa alẹ́bù fọ́pọ̀ mẹ́rin ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ wọ́n ní pọ́n pé tá a bá tún ṣe tá a ṣe àgbéǹde ẹbù fọ́pọ̀ wa ti Port Harcourt ti Kaduna ti Warri ti gbogbo ẹ̀ wọ́n pé orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà wọ́n pé kó sùn wá bọ̀ pọ̀rọ̀ wa ò ní rí bó ti rí iṣẹ́ ẹ̀ gbà pẹ̀lú ọ̀rọ̀ kí ni.
mi ò gbà ẹ jẹ́ ń gbé yín lọ Àjàkúta.
ẹ tún lẹ́gbàá bá a bá tún ẹbù fọ́pọ̀ ṣe ẹ tún lẹ́gbàá.
ẹ jẹ́ ń gbé ó lè tún ṣe ni.
ẹ gbé mi lọ Àjàkúta.
ẹ gbé mi lọ Àjàkúta. Àjàkúta tó wà ń bẹ̀ jẹ́ Àjàkúta yẹn lè parí. Àjàkúta kọ́mpìnì yẹn ti wà ń bẹ̀ láti 1991. tán bá lè parí iron steel yìí kọ́mpìnì yìí kẹ́rí gbogbo àwọn roofing sheet gbogbo àwọn irin yìí èmi làwọn mọ́tò èmi làwọn tó jẹ́ capital goods wọ́n pè ní capital bíi mọ́tò bíi TV àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ bá ẹ lè gbé jáde kúrò ní orílẹ̀-èdè yìí tẹ́ máa gbé jáde kúrò lórílẹ̀-èdè yìí tẹ́ bá gbé jáde ó ní owó lórí dáadáa so àwọn kìíní ni a máa produce and Nàìjíríà máa jẹ́ one of the biggest country tó ń produce.
ẹ ń wo ara àwọn nǹkan tí ìbá gbọ́rọ̀ ajé orílẹ̀-èdè dìde.
àríṣe o ó wà ń bẹ o ẹ mọ̀ pé Dangote sọ pé wọ́n wọ̀n òun pé kó òun má ti má invest nípa ọ̀rọ̀ Nàìjíríà nípa ọ̀rọ̀ refinery rẹ̀ yìí. Ẹ wo politics tó play between the NNPC and even Dangote tá à ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí ní.
mo ṣì ń bọ̀ ń bẹ̀.
ṣé bó ṣe ń lọ tó bá tún àwọn kìíní ń ṣiṣẹ́ tó wọ́n bàjẹ́ ni gbogbo mẹ́rẹ̀ẹ̀rin tẹ́ dárúkọ ó ń ṣiṣẹ́.
alàgbà ikú ṣèlú.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
tẹ́ ẹlẹ́rìí mọ̀ jẹ́ mi ìṣòro wọ́n pé nǹkan ọ̀dà ẹ̀yìn pé ń ṣiṣẹ́.
ó ń ṣiṣẹ́ ó ń ṣiṣẹ́ tí bá ń gbépo jáde níbo náà ti ń gbé jáde. ẹ dá mi lóhùn níbo náà ti ń gbépo jáde.
epo rọ̀bì crude oil là ń wà lórílẹ̀‐èdè ilẹ̀ òkèèrè láti lọ́ ń fọ́ ẹ̀yìn ọ̀dà ká pé àwọn ìjọba ń purọ́ àbí
ó ṣiṣẹ́
ṣe kàn ń purọ́ ká tó sẹ́mi mú.
ìjọba mọ̀ pé ìjọba náà ń purọ́ náà tẹ́lẹ̀ náà.
ó ti dá. bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa nílé níbi gbogbo tẹ́ ẹ bá ti ń wò wá bó ṣe ń lọ ló ń lọ lórí ìkànnì Western Spring Television lógàtẹ̀ ètò èmi àti lámẹ̀ẹ́tọ̀ mi alàgbà Ikúṣèlú Olúwaṣẹ́gun lájọ́ ń pẹ̀kẹ́lù gbígbógun tìṣẹ́ òun òṣì lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà orílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà ó dá o ayé wa òròjú ẹja ṣẹ́mi bá a bá dé ètò ń tẹ̀ sọ wájú ẹ kú kalẹ̀.
ibùjókòó agbára nàìjíríà kúrò nílùú èkó lọ sí àbújá lásìkò ìṣèjọba ológun ọ̀gágun fẹ̀yìntì ibrahim babangida ìlú àbújá ìlú kẹjọ tí èrò pọ̀ sí jùlọ nílẹ̀ nàìjíríà ó sì jẹ́ ìlú olódi tó wà ní àárín gbùngbùn gbogbo àwọn iléeṣẹ́ àti àjọ ìjọba kọ̀ọ̀kan ló ní olú ọ́fíìsì wọn nígbà gẹ́gẹ́ bó ṣe jẹ́ pé ibẹ̀ gan ni ibùjókòó agbára ìṣàkóso nàìjíríà lọ́dún 2003 wọ́n wá síbẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni àjọ olókoòwò nílẹ̀ adúláwọ̀ ṣe lọ́dún 2014 kódà lọ́dún 2016 àjọ tó ń rí sí ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ọmọdé ìyẹn yọ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ibùdó ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ wọn díẹ̀ lára àwọn ibùdó tó gbajúgbajà nílùú àbújá ni àpáta agbára Aso Rock ilé aṣòfin àpapọ̀ ilé aṣojúṣòfin ilẹ̀ yìí àpáta Zuma Rock Millennium Park báńkì àpapọ̀ ilẹ̀ nàìjíríà CBN wáṣí àpapọ̀ àti ibùdó ilé ìjọsìn àpapọ̀ àwọn kìrìsìtẹ́nì ẹkùn ìdìbò 6 ló wà nílùú àbújá abaji buhari gwagwalada kuje kwali àti abuja municipal kílìṣì tó jẹ́ ohun ìpanu tí wọ́n fi ẹran pèsè ló jẹ́ oúnjẹ tó wọ́pọ̀ tí gbogbo èèyàn sì nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí nílùú àbújá ó jẹ́ ibùdó ìsinmi fún ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn arìnrìn-àjò láti ẹkùn kọ̀ọ̀kan nílẹ̀ nàìjíríà nítorí pé àárín gbùngbùn ló wà ìlú àbújá rèé o ibùdó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ nàìjíríà ògo ilẹ̀ adúláwọ̀. èkó lẹ́gọ́ọ̀sì èkó akéte ìlú ọgbọ́n èkó akéte ìlú ìmọ̀ ọmọ ọlọ́gbọ́n dorí ẹja mú àwọn òmùgọ̀ àdìímú nírù ẹni dẹ́kọ̀ tí ò gbọ́n ọgbọ́n rẹ̀ dọ̀run alákejì gẹ́gẹ́ bí àrọ́bá ẹni tó tẹ ìṣẹ́ridó tó sì kọ́kọ́ gbé ibẹ̀ lọ́dún 1699 ló jẹ́ ọdẹ tí orúkọ rẹ̀ ń jẹ́ ògúnfúnminíre ọmọ ọba ìlú ilé ifẹ̀ ní í ṣe ó máa ń ṣọdẹ lọ síbẹ̀ láti ifẹ̀ ó sì pàgọ́ tó ti máa ń sinmi ṣáájú kó tún tó lọ bẹ ilé rẹ̀ wò nígbà tó yá àwọn ọdẹ mìíràn wá darapọ̀ mọ́ láti ṣọdẹ nínú igbó yìí ni wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣọdẹ tí wọ́n sì ń pọ̀ sí pẹ̀lú àwọn ènìyàn wọn báyìí ni wọ́n ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní tàn kálẹ̀ tó fi dé gbogbo ibi tí èkó fẹ̀ dé lónìí ìlú èkó ìlú ńlá ìlú èkó yìí ni ibùdó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ nàìjíríà wà tẹ́lẹ̀ rí pàápàá lásìkò ìjọba amúnisìn ṣáájú ọdún 1991 tí wọ́n gbé lọ sílùú àbújá èkó àdèlé ọmọ agun àgẹ̀rẹ̀ èkó ọmọ afíjúwọjà arìngbẹ́ndẹ́kẹ́ ọ̀bùnwọjà páṣíọ̀ṣíọ̀ ní bàbá èkó àríjó ṣe bí ọba èkó ọmọ odò tí ò ṣeé yájú sí èkó arómi sá lẹ́gbẹ́lẹ́gbẹ́.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ẹ padà lórí ìkànnì One Television Ṣìláwà lórí ètò yín ètò wa bó ṣe ń lọ náà ní o èmi àti lámẹ̀tọ́ mi alàgbà Ikúṣèrú Olúwaṣẹ́gun ẹ kò ń látàárọ̀ ẹ ń sọ kankan nípa ibù fọpo rẹ ẹ pé bàbá ṣe àgbéǹde ẹ jẹ́ n kọ́kọ́ bí yín báyìí ṣé ẹ gbàgbọ́ nínú pé tẹ́ bá ṣe àgbéǹde àwọn ẹbù fọpo wa yóò ṣiṣẹ́ ọ̀rọ̀ epo ojútùú ó bá lórílẹ̀‐èdè ṣé ẹ kọ́kọ́ gbà.
mi ò gbà.
ó yẹ ṣàlàyé.
ṣe rí ọ̀rọ̀ epo lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà yìí ṣe rí gbogbo ohun tí bá ń sọ ẹ máa mọ̀ wípé gbogbo ohun tí àwọn adarí wa gbogbo ohun tó bá ń ṣe kò sẹ́yìn àwọn òyìnbó yìí kò sẹ́yìn wọn o bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kò sẹ́yìn wọn gbogbo policies ẹ rí pé.
ṣáà òyìnbó náà ló tún wà ń di ọ̀rọ̀ wa ní báyìí.
àwọn ni ṣẹ́rí ẹ jẹ́ ń wo ẹ jẹ́ tango à ń wo United Nations ṣẹ́rí United Nations yìí òun ni world organization which à ń pè ní unipolar omi lágbàáyé organization la ní control world economy. ṣé wọ́n á rí United Nations yìí ìgbà tí Brazil, China, South Africa, Russia àti India I guess don come up with what we call BRICS, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa láti build another organization láti counter dollar àti United Nations. ọ̀rọ̀ yìí jẹ́ nǹkan gbòógì fún United Nations ó tún wá jẹ́ nǹkan tẹ́ pé in fact wọ́n rí rí pé n tó máa affect wọn nìyẹn. ṣé wàá rí ní Nàìjíríà yìí kò sí ààrẹ láfíríkà yìí ìwà bá tún sọ̀rọ̀ Nàìjíríà ló sọ̀rọ̀ Áfíríkà tí Nàìjíríà bá bọ́ gan lọ́wọ́ wọn tẹ̀ ń gbọ́ neighboring country wọn àti ìbọ̀ o ẹ má gbàgbé o ní last year náà ní Niger ni wọ́n wọ ni àwọn ológun gba ìjọba kí ni ààrẹ wa ṣe ó fẹ́ kógun jà wọ́n.
ẹ ti yà kúrò lórí ọ̀rọ̀ tá à ń sọ.
no mò ń padà lọ bẹ̀. ṣé wàá rí tí wọ́n wá sọ fún yín ni pé even though tá a bá ṣe gbogbo àwọn refineries yìí kò ní sí ọ̀nà àbáyọ.
mo béèrè lọ́wọ́ yín pé tẹ́sán bá ṣe ẹbù fọ́pó wa ẹ pé kò ní sọ́nà àbáyọ ẹ jẹ́ n wá bí yín léèrè àwọn olóyìnbó ń pè kankan ní suggestion àbí ìgbà tẹ́yìn ń wòye nǹkankan àwọn ọ̀nà wo lẹ́yìn wòye pé tá a bá tọ̀nà àbáyọ òde.
ọ̀nà tá a lè fi bọ́yọ kúrò ní ìpínlẹ̀ ní pé
nínú iṣẹ́ òun òṣì tó dágbádá òun bùbá sórílẹ̀-èdè yìí lọ́rùn.
embargo àwọn ọjà kan wà tẹ́ pé a ní lórílẹ̀-èdè yìí ẹja gbé báàmì ní àfẹ́.
bíi.
èmi ni ráìsì imported àfẹ́. ẹ má gbàgbé pé ní ìsìnbá ìbùn nǹkan mo tún gbọ́ pé wọ́n ní à ń gbé ẹ̀wà wọlé àfẹ́. èmi làwọn bíi spaghetti tẹ̀ ń rí yìí àfẹ́ n tó jẹ́ oúnjẹ tá à ń gbé wọlé àfẹ́ kó gbé wọlé and then restriction movement ẹni pé àwọn èèyàn ń jápa kẹrí nígbà táwọn èèyàn bá ń lọ because country ti dàrú kò sí òfin everybody ń jápa everybody move lọ nígbà tí ò sófin tó máa ń ṣe pé wọ́n máa lè dúró kẹrí now a ní láti yọra wa kúrò nínú United Nations Organization.
fún ìdíwò.
fún òmìnira ni.
mi bá a ti lómìnira ẹ fẹ́ bá tó.
lómìnira kò sómìnira lọ́rọ̀ ajé.
n fẹ́ gbà pẹ̀lú yín pé ká yọ ẹ̀dúró pé ká kó nú àjọ ìṣọ̀kanlẹ̀ àgbáyé.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
torí kínìdí.
kínìdí. ẹ jẹ́ n fún mi. Libya ẹ jẹ́ tún dá yín padà sá. Gaddafi kúrò ní kó kú. ó fẹ́ introduce currency fún Africa torí ẹ̀ ni wọ́n ṣe change OAU sí AU láti rí i pé Áfíríkà parapọ̀ láti dẹ́kun ìṣọwọ́ bí àwọn òyìnbó yìí ṣe ń dá sí ọ̀rọ̀ internal issue wa.
torí wọ́n ń dá sọ̀rọ̀ wa lẹ fi ní kákò nù wọn.
wọ́n ń dá sí ó sì ń kó bá wa.
ẹ̀yin kó ń kó bá wa.
ok ẹ jẹ́ n sọ fún yín UNESCO ní
níwòye tí
ẹ̀mọ́gbọ́n UNESCO ní eradication of poverty poverty pé kò ní sí ní lọ́dọ̀ wọn lọ́hùn kò sí poverty mẹ́ tán ti yanjú tiwọn lọ́hùn. MDG náà ń pè tẹ́lẹ̀ o Millennium Development Goal góòlù Millennium Development Goal wọ́n parí rẹ̀ o ní 20 wọ́n change sí Sustainable Development Goal eradication of poverty mo wá bí ṣáà lè eradicate poverty tó bá wọn tẹ̀yìn gbogbo àwọn wọ́n ti mọ̀ àlẹ́ ọ̀nà tá a fi lè pé tẹ́rí United Nations tá à ń pariwo yìí ọ̀nà wo ló fi benefit wa kò bẹ́ẹ̀ náà à ń gba loan ẹ̀mọye loan tí ààrẹ wa ti gbà wọn ti lọ́dún méjì.
wọ́n fẹ́ tún taari bẹ́ẹ̀ bá fulẹ̀ mo fẹ́ taari ìbéèrè yìí sí i yẹn bí ààrẹ Nàìjíríà ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà tiẹ̀ wá pé ọ̀dà alàgbà Ikúṣèlú Olúwaṣẹ́gun ẹ kàwé orí yín pé ẹ rínú ẹ ríta ilẹ̀kùn níyín ẹ nímọ̀ nípa kínní nípa àtòlú àtètò ẹ wá tukọ̀ ṣàkóso orílẹ̀-èdè tẹ́ ẹ fi fòpin sí iṣẹ́ òun òṣì táwọn ọmọ orílẹ̀-èdè wọn fi máa wà nù gbádùn kí lẹ gbé ṣe gẹ́gẹ́ bí ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ wo lẹ gùn ẹ máa làákàlẹ̀.
alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ gbogbo iléeṣẹ́ tó wá láti òkè òkun kì í ṣe áfíríkà lọ́hùn-ún a máa lé wọn. and then tẹ́rí mo máa ń sọ kinní kan mo ní n tó bá ti lè mú pé mo jẹ́ olórí níbì kan especially bí a governorship.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ yín pa mí lẹ́yìn bẹ́ẹ̀ bá lé wọn kí lẹ fẹ́ fi rọ́pò investor. nígbà
ṣẹ̀rí àwọn kìíní
ǹjẹ́ ẹ̀dùn náà ǹjẹ́ ẹ mọ̀ wípé ẹ̀dùn káwọn ará ilé gan mọ̀ máa mọ̀ rí pé bíi pé bóyá lámẹ̀tọ́ mi gan bóyá ẹ foríjì mi o bóyá káwọn mọ̀ wò pé ṣé lámẹ̀tọ́ mi mọ̀ ti ń sọ gan bẹ́ẹ̀ bá lé wọn kí lẹ fẹ́ fi rọ́pò.
a ní.
ó yá kí ni.
a ní.
kí ni.
ó kì í ṣe mọ̀ pé tẹ bá lọ abá tẹ mọ̀ iye ọmọ Nàìjíríà kan ti ṣe nǹkan ńlá ó ní ẹnìkan ní that was me mo but within the period 2014 period ó build machine kan ní bídà precisely.
investor mọ̀ láti
àwọn
olùdálé ilẹ̀ wọ́n mọ̀ wà lára
kan tí
wọ́n mọ̀ wà lára àwọn tí mú kọ́rọ̀ ajé di orúkọ.
wọ́n kó bá wa ní. ẹ máa wọn China náà ẹ mọ̀ pé ọ̀rọ̀ kan ṣẹlẹ̀ ní bá.
ṣé n tẹ́ sọ pé lórílẹ̀‐èdè China kò sí iṣẹ́ ilẹ̀ òkèrè nílẹ̀ China gan.
mélòó Nàìjíríà mélòó tiwa ló wà ń bẹ̀ mélòó.
ẹ̀yin náà lẹ́ẹ̀dẹ̀ àwọn.
ní sẹ́ni ẹ̀ mọ̀ pé nísìnyí illegal mining tó ṣẹlẹ̀ nìbàdàn tó fi pa àwọn èèyàn dèní yìí àárí àwọn orúkọ àwọn company yẹn nísìnyí wọn pé foreign company ni wọn àtòkùn náà ti wà dèní yìí ìjọba sọ pé àwọn kan báyìí ni àwọn kan.
ẹ mọ bọ́rọ̀ yín bọ̀ ẹ gbogbo àwọn iléeṣẹ́ òkèèrè á lé wọn dànù tá a bá lé wọn dànù ńkọ́ kí lè tún ṣe.
tá a bá lé wọn dànù ẹsẹ̀ ń gbọ́ á wà á gbúrò àwọn sectors wa a máa kọ́ mọ̀ wọ̀n company àwọn tó pé n tí àwọn èèyàn nídìí lélẹ̀ company ta nídìí lélẹ̀ a máa develop nígbà dáṣọ ẹ máa rí pé wọ́n go against the policy tí Buhari ṣe nígbà tó ti border ó ti border oúnjẹ ò wọlé àwọn local industries ta ní wọn revive wọn fowó sí.
ẹ̀yin náà ó ti border bẹ́ẹ̀ bá dẹ̀rẹ̀ àbí.
má ti border ni ìdí máa ṣe fi ti border lélẹ́yìí in fact kò sí importation from láti òkè òkun tó máa wà ó lè wá láti African countries.
ẹ yọ owó ìrànwọ́ epo.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni ó máa wá láti African countries.
ẹ yọ owó ìrànwọ́ epo.
epo.
subsidy.
ẹ lè yọ subsidy because even àwọn ẹnìkan gan sọ subsidy. kí là ń yọ.
wọ́n ti yọ ti abáyé.
wọ́n yọ.
àwọn ẹgbẹ́.
ṣe mọ̀ pé subsidy tá à ń sọ yìí. subsidy tá à ń sọ yìí.
ṣé ẹlẹ́rìí máa jẹ́ mi sọ lọ́wọ́ pé wọ́n yọ wọ́n pé wọ́n yọ nǹkan ẹ̀yìn pé wọ́n ò yọ.
wọ́n sọ fún wa ni lórí pépà wọ́n ò yọ.
wọ́n ń sọ subsidy lẹ́ ń sọ.
wọ́n sì ń san.
wọ́n ń san.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo sọ fún yín.
alàgbà Ṣẹ́gun ẹ̀yìn pé ń sọ subsidy. ìjọba àpọ̀ ń sanwó wọ́n láwọn ọ̀pọ̀ ń san epo ti nù òkè.
ṣàpọ̀ sọ́sídì yìí ọdún fi ń san kí ààrẹ Buhari kó tó lọ wọ́n wá san oṣù 6. ṣé wàá rọ́ṣù 6 yẹn owó tán fún ọ̀nà lọ. oṣù 6 yìí wá jẹ́ ìgbà tí ààrẹ Tinubu Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu máa gba ìjọba. ẹ rí i pé ńgbà tó dé sẹ́yìn gbọ́ báyẹn ó yọ dàrẹ́tì because ó yẹ kí ìjọba Buhari san subsidy di December ní fiscal year 1 year ló yẹ kó fi san. bọ̀ oṣù 6 náà fi san ó tún wá ju èyí tán san lọ tán san ní 2020 that means oṣù 6 tán san yìí ó ju ọdún kan lọ ọdún kan èyí tán san ní 2022. ní tó fà á tẹ́ pé ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu ṣe ní pé òun máa yọ kò sí sí tí ó ṣe because ààrẹ Buhari ìsan oṣù 6 ó sì ti lọ. ṣé wọ́n sọ pé Nàìjíríà ń sàn táwọn olóní companies náà dẹ̀ ń pariwo igan àwọn olóní.
kí lẹ́ ṣe láti gbógun ti ìwà ìbàjẹ́ ọ̀kan lára àwọn nǹkan tí dojúkọ wá nù. bẹ́ẹ̀
sẹ́rí ní
alàgbà ìtúnṣe ìlú
ẹ mọ gbọ́
ẹ dúró ẹ sọ nǹkan kan ní ìsìn mo ní kí lẹ ṣe láti gbógun ti ìwà ìbàjẹ́ ẹni pípa ni àwọn ṣé kòkòrò lẹ fẹ́ pa ẹyẹ èèyàn wá lé ó jẹrẹ kí ìṣe lọ́jà ọ̀dà kì í ṣe ọ̀dà bó ṣe ń lọ lápètè ẹdúró náà àwọn olè pa ṣé kò ẹdúró ẹ máa là ó ṣé kòkòrò lẹ pa ni àbí ìwà ìbàjẹ́ lẹ fẹ́ pa.
ẹni tó àwọn jẹgúdújẹrá tó wà ní ìdí ọ́fíìsì ìjọ tó ń jẹ́ olórí tẹ́jẹ́ bí jẹgúdújẹrá.
ẹni ọwọ́ yín bá ti wá tẹ̀.
ẹ mọ̀ pé ṣẹ́rí China revolution China lè ní India lè ní even currently ní Japan ẹ mọ̀ tó ń ṣe fún wọn ní. ṣẹ́rí àwọn olórí tó máa ti mú tó ti lọ èyí tẹ́ pé tó bá ti wá pa tó máa mú wọn lọ sẹ́wọ̀n. ṣẹ́wárí ó máa láti kékeré ó máa kó àwọn ọmọ wọn kéékèèké láti primary school ó máa kó wọn lọ bí ibi tí wọ́n lọ kó àwọn pípù yẹn sí pé wọ́n máa wá sọ sórí ní tó gbé wọn débi tán dé yìí. ṣe fẹ́ believe pé country tí ó wà on their own nísìnyí tẹ́ pé wọn ò need anybody North Korea nísìnyí. ṣe mọ̀ pé wọ́n ní tí even frame olórí wọn tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá gbé tán bá wọnú yàrá yín tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá hang ẹ̀ báyìí ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ni.
tẹ́ ẹ wá láìkì irú ọ ti ẹ̀ dábìí ẹ wà mí dé yìí
ẹ mọ̀ gbọ́
ẹ ti gbé mi débẹ̀ gan-an èmi gan mọ̀ pé gbé mi débẹ̀ ṣe kó tó di pé ẹ tẹ̀wájú irú ìgbésí ayé tán gbé ní North Korea yìí ṣé irú ìgbésí ayé tẹ́ fẹ́ ká gbé nu bàbá ẹ láìkì rẹ̀.
ṣe mọ̀ pé àwọn òyìnbó yìí àwọn West yìí wọ́n fẹ́ jẹ́ kẹ́ rí ní táwọn fẹ́ jẹ́ kẹ́ rí. àwọn sọ fún yín pé North Korea ìjọba wọn burú sáwọn èèyàn wọn ìtẹ́lẹ́pọ̀ burú àwọn èèyàn máa ti kú dànù. ó pè wọn ní sísítẹ́ẹ̀mù wọn ní ó ràn án lọ́rùn bọ́n wọ́n máa fẹ́ jẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ mọ̀ pé kò dáa ọ̀nà owó ni òfin dáa ok ẹ̀yin náà wo nísìn mo rí kí tó máa bọ̀ North Korea nísìn ó ti send troops sójà láti lọ support Russia níjà tó ń jà ẹ̀yin náà wo tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní within Israel àti Palestine ẹ wo ìṣọwọ́ bọ́n ṣe ń pa ara wọn ẹ̀rọ bá ohun tó wà ń bẹ̀ nígbà tí Donald Trump ṣe ìjọba ní Middle East wọn kò síjà kankan bẹ́ẹ̀ kò síjà so tàbá wá wò ó a máa wò pé Africa Nàìjíríà pé ṣẹ́rí ìtìsẹ́tẹ̀tẹ̀ pé àwa Nàìjíríà gangan fúnra wa Africa a lè ti pa pé ní ìṣèwọ́n ní Nàìjíríà jẹ́ out of Africa àníṣe ant of Africa ni wà kòkòrò lásán ni wà báyìí.
so ẹni bá hùwà bàjẹ́ láyé ìjọba yín pípa.
ṣẹ́rí tí ò bá sí pípa.
ẹ jẹ́ n bi yín léèrè ìṣèjọba North Korea ó dàbí pé ẹ faramọ́.
in fact ìṣèjọba North Korea ìṣèjọba China ìṣèjọba Russia.
ẹ láìkì ẹ fẹ́ràn ó dáa gan.
because
ṣérun tẹ́sí lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà nù ẹ pé a máa lo fóònù mọ́.
ẹ mọ̀ gbọ́ fóònù
ká mọ́ Facebook.
pípẹ́ ti mọ̀ pé fóònù wà lára àwọn nǹkan tí ó ń dá wàhálà lẹ̀ láfíríkà ní Nàìjíríà.
sọ ẹ pé a máa lo fóònù mọ́.
ṣé mo pé.
gẹ́gẹ́ bí orílẹ̀-èdè.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni
ká mọ́ lo fóònù mọ́.
tá a bá tiẹ̀ fẹ́ lo fóònù ẹ mọ̀ gbọ́n tá a bá fẹ́ lo fóònù ẹ̀gbọ́dọ̀ bá dé China nísìnyí language wo náà fi.
pẹ̀lú bí abọ́rọ̀dé láàrin ìjọba ológun àti alágbádá wọ́n bá ní kí ẹ mú kan ìwò lẹ́ẹ̀mú bẹ́ẹ̀.
ní Nàìjíríà lọ́wọ́ ta dé.
lórílẹ̀‐èdè pé kẹ́ wá àbí tí wọ́n bá pè ń kẹ́ wá ṣàtúntò orílẹ̀‐èdè kẹ́ wá tukọ̀ ṣàkóso ẹ̀ kọ́.
mi ò ní kọ́.
tẹ́ ẹ bá wá gbà sólógun lẹ́dà ní àbálágbádá.
ológun ni
ẹ̀yin.
alágbádá ò dáa alágbádá ò ìfà ń tó mẹ́kì history Nàìjíríà lé ní tí ológun ni tí àwọn ológun ṣe ni. ẹ sọ fún mi tí ìjọba alágbádá ti ṣe kò sí democracy tá à ń pariwo yìí ṣé ń gbọ́ ìdìbò tó ọ̀nà tó ìlànà tán fi lélẹ̀ tó náà ń tẹ̀lé ni nǹkan máa ṣẹlẹ̀ tí everybody máa rí wọ́n á ní go to court ẹ tó máa débẹ̀ yẹn náà kò ní sí ọ̀nà àbáyọ ok judiciary tá a dẹ̀ ń pariwo yìí àwọn kóòtù tá a dẹ̀ ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa yìí tẹ́ bá dẹ̀ wò wọ́n lóòótọ́ wọ́n ti gbẹ̀ wọ́n ò lè sòdodo tẹ́rí gbogbo àwọn tó jẹ́ kí ìjọba alágbádá kó fi ní ọ̀nà àbáyọ ṣé ń gbọ́ tí bá kàkalẹ̀ lẹ́ni yìí ní Nàìjíríà ẹ rí i pé gbogbo ẹ̀ kò sí ìta tẹ̀lé.
alàgbà Ikúṣèrú Olúwaṣẹ́gun ẹ ṣeun ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa lé tẹ̀ ń wò wá látàárọ̀ ìkànnì Western Spring Television lẹ́ ń wò channel 190 láwà StarTimes DTT lórí ètò yín ètò wa bó ṣe ń lọ fún tòní lámẹ̀tọ́ mi bẹ́ẹ̀ lé agbára gbogbo òwòye alàgbà Ikúṣèrú Olúwaṣẹ́gun ló ṣe bí ẹni ṣe gírígírí àwọn wò pé ológun ní ó yanjú ọ̀rọ̀ lẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìwòye tiwọn àbí.
ṣé wàá rí i ológun tí mò ń sọ yìí ìgbọ́n tá a bá tẹ̀ tó ń sọ pé ológun nísìnyí àwọn yẹn máa ní àwọn ológun ṣẹ́rí àwọn ológun tá a ní nísìnyí jẹgúdújẹrá ni gbogbo wọn.
ẹ̀yin ò ká àwọn ọmọ ológun ẹ̀yin ò ká àwọn ọmọ ológun.
ìdí mo sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni pé jẹgúsẹ́rí nǹkan kan ó ní fídíò kan tí mo wò ṣé ẹ mọ̀ gbọ́ o arákùnrin yẹn ní Saudi Arabia ó lọ bá ọmọ 8 years old lásìkò ọmọ sì kú ẹ mọ̀ tán ṣe ni wọ́n sì gbé lọ ibi táwọn èèyàn péjọ sí ṣé ń gbọ́ wọ́n sì hangi rẹ̀ wọ́n sì shoot wọ́n ti ẹ̀ pa pé wọ́n sì shoot rẹ̀ wọ́n kọ́kọ́ yìn níbọn kò kú wọ́n yìn bí jẹ́ pé kò ní tètè kú wọ́n dẹ̀ hangi òkú rẹ̀ sókè.
ní Saudi Arabia.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹni tó bá ti ń ṣerú rẹ̀ rí tó ti ṣerú ẹ̀ bí ó ti ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀ tó bá rí nǹkan ṣe fún un mo rò pé arákùnrin bí ó ti ń ṣe kínní ìhùn tẹ́lẹ̀ ní ti ṣe ọjọ́ wọ́n mú ní ọjọ́ ẹni tó bá ń ṣe tó bá wà ń bẹ̀ yẹn tó bá ti ń ṣe ọ̀ tó bá gbìmọ̀ àti ṣe tó máa ṣe.
irú àwọn nǹkan tá a nídìí.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn òye alàgbà Ikúṣèrú Olúwaṣẹ́gun ṣe bí ẹni pa mí lẹ́rìn-ín ẹ ṣeun fún àdúró tì yín látàárọ̀ lórí ìkànnì Western Spring Television lórí ètò yín ètò wa bó ṣe ń lọ àlejò mi ẹ dágbére ẹ dákọ yín ká máa lọ.
gbogbo ọmọ Nàìjíríà orúkọ mi ni Ikúṣèrú Olúwaṣẹ́gun John ẹ ṣe mo máa ní láti gbà yín nímọ̀ràn pé lórílẹ̀‐èdè yìí àti dẹ́kun ìṣẹ́ tó ń bá wa jà
òun òṣì
àtòṣì ẹja máa bẹ àwọn olórí wa wò ẹ má jà sọ pé ọmọ yìí má dá kínní ilẹ̀ ọmọ para rẹ àwọn àgbàlagbà yín àgbàlagbà ẹ múra ẹja jáde ká pariwo síta ebi ń pa àwọn èèyàn ìmọ̀ràn mi ni.
ẹ ṣeun fún fúlù sọpọ́ọ̀tì tẹ́ ń fún wa lórí ètò yìí ní gbogbo ìgbà gẹ́gẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ti mọ̀ mo máa ń sọ ní gbogbo ibikíbi tí mo bá lọ ní gbogbo ilẹ̀kílẹ̀ pé ọ̀rẹ́ wa máa mọ̀ dájú pé orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà Jerusalem mi àti orin sí gbìyànjú náà kó rántí rẹ̀ nínú àdúrà rẹ̀ yóò ju wa ṣe o èmi lọmọ wa ọmọ ẹkùn ọmọ pátákó ẹ̀rẹ̀kẹ̀sín ọmọ eléré bẹ́fà omi àtàn ìkángbómúkédé ìkejì pòmùmùrọ̀dọ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ti mọ̀ Joshua ọmọ adẹ́nipẹ̀kun ló kọ́ tèmi bọ́ba dọ̀jú ajé lórí ìkànnì Rave 91.7 FM ẹ pàdé mi lórí ọ̀rọ̀ òṣèlú láago 12 kọjá ìṣẹ́jú 15 ọ̀sán sáago kan tí ń ti mọ tó láǹfààní láti gbé lámẹ̀ẹ́tọ́ èèkan olóṣèlú wa tá a fọ̀rọ̀ wá wọn lẹ́nu wò orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà ó dá o ilé wa ó rojú ọ̀dẹ̀dẹ̀ wa ó ráyè bọ́ba wa dọjọ́ mẹ́jọ ẹjá pàdé lórí bó ṣe ń lọ lórí ìkànnì yìí láago 6 sáago 7 ẹ ṣeun ó dìgbà kan náà.
Welcome to Ijebu-Ode, a historic town in Oyo State, southwestern Nigeria. Every year, the rain town transforms into a bustling hub of cultural celebration, attracting nearly 1 million people from across the globe. This is the Oyo Festival, my celebration of the heritage. Judiob, meaning the focus in an ancient festival with roots that trace back over a century. It began as a small green of income, paying homage to the ruler of Jebuland. The festival since evolved into a round spectacle, celebrating the rich cultural tapestry of the Yoruba people. From the Yoruba the cultural roots come of indigenous associations right in the 18th century by Oba Adetono. Parade in front of the King's Palace, showcasing the unique identities, food dance, music, and extravagant traditional attire. A group from the young to the elderly pays a vital preserving and community heritage. At the heart of the festival, is for people's festivity in rest to Jali, praying for Ngla and Swen. The address of the university, to your aid of the low face, sendant of your peoples. These are the bone pays their horsemanship. And the special of the foods, restaurants, mounts, legal, to the if I in your age of festivals on since it new group by citizen demonstrate the Yoruba people's for elegance and tradition. While you remains rooted in tradition, there's our motive. First now include pageant, music, and contemporary entertainment, attracting celebrities, dignitaries from across Nigeria and beyond. The 2018 edition, for instance, the presence of former President Dr. Bukola Saraki entertainers adding a modern flair to the Asian celebration. Ojude is more than just a festival. It is a vibrant tapestry of history, culture, and community spirit. It stands as a testament to the enduring legacy of the Yoruba people, celebrating their past, present, and future with pride and grandeur.
Ọmọ òṣèṣe ni òyọ̀yọ̀, òyọ̀mọ́yọ̀mọ́ ò tí ń ṣe mí ò lè pani. Ẹ mọ̀ wípé iṣu mẹ́fà ní iṣu Ìjẹ̀bú, èjì ń jíjẹ, èjì ta ìjẹ, olórí bàbá wọn fi òkú gbọ́.
Join us next time as we continue to explore and celebrate the richness of the Yoruba culture. Thank you for joining us on the Oyo Festival. Until next time, keep celebrating culture and heritage.
Evening here, King E. How are you today?
I'm good, I'm fine, I'm alive.
I really feel like she's not giving the right answer to the question. When one asks you, how are you? And you said, you're saying, I'm alive. It's very annoying, seriously. How are you? I'm fine. I feel I'm fine will be the right answer instead of I'm alive. Not that I asked you if you're dead before.
Go and check all these 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, everybody, they are extraordinarily sexually active.
I feel is being unnecessarily hyper when it comes to the issue of sex, because we talk about other topics and it feels so reserved. It really doesn't have anything much to say when it comes to other stuff. But when it's the issue of sex, I believe it's being unnecessarily hyper. That's when I have to pick an issue with him. I mean, it's just being unnecessarily there when we're talking about sex. Just like a child, his mom just got him his favorite chocolate or ice cream, very happy, doing as though if he doesn't have sex for a day, he's going to die.
When it comes to finance, women also support their husbands financially. You need me emotionally. You need me spiritually.
Council is an amazing person, but I hate the idea. I need you spiritually, I need you mentally. I can get these things anywhere with money. If you go by the topic was, who does marriage favors the most? I know how many jobless women they marry every Saturday. They are saying it favors you, favor. At the vex so.
Growing up, when I was in the world, we've heard of
Who are you
things.
now?
Well, MC Too Much said he likes saying when I was in the world, And the last time I checked, well, it looks a bit innocent, facially, but deep down, he's actually out of this world. We're all in the world now. As long as you're alive, you're in the world. So, MC Too Much, I beg when you talk about that. I don't want to hear that. Next time you talk about I kiss my words.
I think I have a problem with you saying ladies are champion, and that's the problem. Always trying to attach so much importance to that gender.
It's giving insecurity, it's giving low self-esteem, it's giving a blatant display of egoism. At the end of the day, a man who is secured in his words, a man who is confident of who he is, will not really be disturbed as to whether women are being referred to as champions or not. I mean, at the end of the day, Joseph's a really great guy, but whether he likes it or not, women are champions.
Up to 70% of human feces are in animals. And as more bushmeat is brought into our cities, the risk of human infectious disease outbreaks increases. Ebola, monkeypox, Lassa fever, yellow fever, and COVID-19 may have been started in this way. Illegal bushmeat trade not only endangers our wildlife, but affects our health and may damage our economy. So please, say no to illegal meat. Keep them wild and keep us safe.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a world where warmth and connection flow abundantly. Join us as we embark on a journey of healing and discovery, brought to you live from the prestigious Western Spring Television studios. Prepare to be embraced by a wave of positive energy and insightful discussions. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of our community. I am Temitope Ajijola Oluwaola. Our Spring Clinic will delve into everything health and well-being so we can help you not only to feel better, but also bring you information that will help you reduce the risk of diseases, lengthen your lifespan, save you money, and benefit the environment. For some time now, we have been discussing basic anatomy, examining the human body organs and systems via the respiratory system, the digestive system, the circulatory system, the excretory system, the nervous system, the reproductive system. We've had the honor of our own medic, seasoned family physician with over a decade's worth of experience under his sleeve, Dr. Ayodeji Ogunbemi, taking us step-by-step through sessions on the respiratory and digestive systems. Thank you for your commitment to the health and well-being of all, Dr. Sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're expectant of all we're going to, glean from you on the broadcast. We gave our word that the circulatory system will be our next focus, and we're making good that promise today. If you do not take note now, I will assume it is because you know that you can revisit the broadcast on Western Spring Television's YouTube channel and our other social media platforms. The circulatory system and organ. Over to you, Dr.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I must sincerely appreciate the management and the crew. I had the privilege of seeing so much that goes on.
Well, they appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Well, so
I should go on.
Yes.
Okay.
Have the floor.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. The circulatory system. How should I start now? We can also call it the cardiovascular system. So circulatory means that something is going in circles, circulatory. Then cardiovascular, which is more anatomical. That is cardio, the heart. Then vascular, the vessels. So for people that are listening, to be able to understand, so when you say cardio, anything, anywhere you read it or you hear it, cardio means heart, then vascular. So I'll try within the little time, because this is an area that people will specialize in. And any specialist in cardiovascular system will be called the cardiologist. So I doff my hat to all cardiologists watching. Okay, let's go on. So the cardiovascular system or the circulatory system is a very intricate part. It apparently looks like the central part to all systems. Well, maybe I shouldn't put it like that, but without it, without any system, you won't have the whole body. But the cardiovascular system is such a unique one, intricately meshed together with other systems. So let me just break it down so that our viewers will understand very well. I've tried to divide it into 3 or 4 parts. The first part is that, let me list the components. We have the heart, we have the vessels, and the vessels could be, we have the artery and the veins, then we have the capillaries. Now it looks like this, it's just like a complete circuit. We have the heart in the middle, we have the artery taking the blood away from the heart to other parts of the body, then we have the veins taking the blood back to the heart from other parts of the body, then the capillaries appear to be like the intermediary between the arteries and the veins. So the heart is the pumping part. That's why when you feel the left side of your chest, you would, we call it, you palpate, you will feel the beat, your heart beat. So it's a muscular organ, it keeps pumping, and it's a very strong organ, very, very strong. So then through the arteries, we have the large arteries, the aorta, from the aorta, the big arteries, which are usually described as the elastic arteries. You would wonder why.
Yeah.
We call it elastic arteries because once the heart pumps blood, they must be able to receive it. And so they will expand to accommodate the blood coming from the heart, because the heart is pumping it with a whole lot of force. And then they accommodate it, they kind of reduce the tempo in which it's coming, then transmit it to smaller arteries, which are usually described as muscular arteries. Then from there, they now get to the arterioles. The arterioles are just very tiny, tiny arteries. Then from the arterioles, it gets to the capillaries. Then from the capillaries, from the artery side, then it gets to the capillaries on the venous side, that is vein side. Then it climbs up like that. Then through the inferior and superior vena cava, they enter the right side of the heart. So that's a way in which I can break it down. The second way I can break it down is to make us understand that there's an intricate meshing between the circulatory system, that is the cardiovascular system, and the pulmonary system, which we discussed the last time. Because the respiratory system helps us to bring in the air, that is the oxygen. And one of the major goals of the circulatory system is to carry that oxygen gotten from the lungs, the respiratory system, to other parts of the body. Because other parts of the body need the oxygen. So how does this happen? I'm trying to break it down for you to get it. Okay, you may have to follow me stepwisely. Now, the heart, the human heart, has 2 sides. It has 4 chambers, but 2 sides. So it has 2 aortas, 2 atrium, and then 2 ventricles.
2 sides, could we say left and right?
Yes, so yes, we have the left side and we have the right side. So on the left side, okay, this is my left. On the left side, we have the left atrium, left ventricle. On the right side, we have the right atrium, the right ventricle. And you must understand, or people must know now, that the left side is the stronger side. I'll explain. The right side, the atrium from both sides, receives blood into the heart. So the right side will get oxygenated blood from the lungs. That is, the blood that passes through the lungs that have now gotten oxygen from the respiratory system and excreted or exchanged it for CO2. CO2 has, the respiratory system has taken the carbon dioxide away and given the blood oxygen. That is the blood that leaves the lungs through the pulmonary vein, leaves the lungs and enters the left ventricle. So let me say something like a low pressure is it because the blood is just flowing into the left atrium. From the left atrium, the heart pushes the blood into the left ventricle. And then from the left ventricle, which is a very thick side, a stronger side than the right side, it forces blood, that it pushes blood from that side to all parts of the body. So the force there will be stronger than the left, which is only taking blood to the lungs. You know.
And the right.
Okay, than the right. You seem to have got it. So the left side is more muscular, is thicker, is stronger than the right, because the right only receives blood. The blood the right receives is from the veins, and it's not under pressure. The veins are not really under pressure. The arteries are under pressure. The arteries are the muscular ones. So the left side has to push blood, and the blood must go round. So by the time the blood is returning, obviously the pressure is no more there. So they are just flowing. As you are walking, as you are exercising, it's aiding the venous return. Then the blood just returns into the right atrium from the inferior vena cava and superior vena cava. Superior vena cava, it drains blood from the brain, from the head, and then the two arms. The inferior vena cava from the lower limbs, that is the two legs, abdomen, and all the legs. So it gets into the right atrium. From the right atrium, gets into the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, the blood getting to the right ventricle is deoxygenated. That is, the blood getting away from the left is oxygenated. Don't forget I said from the lungs. They've gotten oxygen from the lungs. So it gets to the left side. The left side pushes oxygenated blood. That's why if you look at different anatomical descriptions, they'll put it like red, like bright red. That is, oxygen is more. However, well, I'll come back to that. So by the time it's getting back to the right side, different cells, different organs have gotten the oxygen. You've gotten the oxygen. So you have deoxygenated blood getting to the right side. So the right ventricle pushes the deoxygenated back to the respiratory system, right, to the lungs. So that the CO2, which is gave oxygen, it received CO2. The CO2 now gets to the lungs, releases the CO2 to the lungs, then we breathe it out, then collects the oxygen, and then that comes back to the left side of the heart. So we can see that it's like a husband and a wife. The cardiovascular system or the circulatory system cannot exist without the respiratory system. They are just together. So that's analysis. So we call it, we can divide this into, they say, pulmonary circulation and then systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation, that is, the circulation that goes to the lungs. If you look at it, it looks like a loop. And then there's another big loop below. So the other one that feeds the entire body is the systemic circulation. So that's another description. I think with that, I've already talked about the two sides of the heart. Then maybe I now talk about the functions of the heart. I was going to say earlier that by anatomical descriptions in many texts, you will find the left side or the oxygenated side being so bright red. That's where it's painted. The artery is always painted red. Then the veins are usually painted blue. Then the layman would think the vessels and the blood, maybe the oxygenated blood will be blue and then the oxygenated blood will be red. Really, blood is always red. It's always red. However, once oxygen is taken away from the blood, it gives a bluish hue to it. So it looks a little bit darker, because during surgeries, there are ways to identify the artery from the vein. I mentioned one earlier. the arteries are almost always under pressure because from the left side of the heart, it's pumping seriously, you know. It's pumping with full force. So you almost always find the artery pulsating. You know, you almost always find the veins not pulsating, except the vein is lying over an artery. So it will just be moving at the pace of the artery. So you can identify that. Then the coloration. Oxygenated blood is usually bright red. Deoxygenated blood is usually like dark red. If you are checking it, maybe through a fair complexion person, may appear like blue. But it's not blue. It's just because the color has been filtered through the complexion of the skin, really. So it's more like dark red, bright red. You know, sometimes we ask people, if somebody says that he's pooing blood, we usually will ask, what's the color? Because the color will give us a description of where, and maybe it's an artery or a vein, and then maybe it's upper GI or lower GI. That's a big matter on its own. Then let's move on. So the artery. I've mentioned that we have different types of arteries. Then it goes on to the capillaries, from the capillaries to the veins to the heart. So if there's any problem along this number of vessels, and I need to let you know at this point that the heart is a very fantastic muscular organ. Do you know that at rest, the heart pumps about 5 to 6 liters of blood per minute, not per hour?
5 to 6
liters.
And this is inside our body?
Yes. Per minute, not per hour. And for an athlete, it can pump up to like 30 to 35 liters per minute.
From 5 to 6, then 30 to 35.
Yeah, because the more you, now this is it. As we are seated here, I'm calm, you are relaxed. The basic metabolism going on in our body is at a lower state. If you are sleeping, it's lower. My muscles are not really moving except for my hands. So the consumption of oxygen, the demand for oxygen, it's lower. But if I'm exercising myself, the cells in my body are demanding more because oxygen is the source of, is the main thing. You get it, is the fuel, is the gasoline, is the petrol, is what else you call it?
Human body.
Yes, of the human body. So the more I exercise, the more my cells start to demand oxygen. And then the heart has to supply the oxygen at the same rate. Else, this is where the issue comes in. Else, once there's no enough oxygen, the cells of the body try to get fuel from other things. Just like this is an international TV, but let's come to Nigeria. Let's come to Southwest. If there's petrol scarcity, people start to burn wood. Abi? They go to coal, which has smoke. Abi? And chokes people. Am I correct? So when you don't have enough oxygen in the body, the cells change from the oxygen. They try to look for other ways of getting energy. So they now have to go through fat metabolism and all the likes. And then that produces lactic acid. It's an acid, which causes pain in that part of the body. So when people exercise to a point, one of the reasons why they will get to that signifies their limit is that they start to feel pain in their muscles. That place is aching me. It's because the supply of oxygen to that place is not being met. So there's another means in which the muscles are now getting the energy that is now producing lactic acid. So let me not bore you with that because
it's interesting.
It's interesting. So that's that. Now, circulatory system does not only function around oxygen. I must say that at this point. Number one, oxygen has to supply oxygen to other parts of the body. And this is important when it gets to the brain because the brain cannot do without oxygen for more than 4 to 5 minutes. You must understand that. That's why people that have stroke, intervention must be almost as fast as possible within minutes. If oxygen is not getting to the nerves, particularly to the brain, 4 to 5 minutes, the nerves will just start to pack up. That's one. Then 2, so the brain is also intricately dependent on the cardiovascular system. Number 2 is our kidneys. Do you know that the kidneys receive about 20% of the cardiac output? That is, whatever amount of blood comes out from the heart, 20% goes to our kidneys. So you can start to see that the kidneys, the functions of the kidney, by the time we get to excretory system, we talk about kidney and everything, is also intricately dependent on the circulatory system. So the excretory system, in which the kidney is part of, is also dependent on the circulatory system. The nervous system, which the brain is the coordinating organ, is dependent on the cardiovascular system.
Yes.
Can I progress?
Please do.
Now, when we eat, because I've talked about oxygen now, I've talked about CO2. Oxygen, circulatory system helps us to distribute the oxygen across the cells in the body, then collect CO2, carbon dioxide, from all the cells and get to the lungs. So those two appear to be prominent, but that's not the only thing that the cardiovascular system does. Cardiovascular system also helps to supply all the cells with appropriate nutrients. So that gets us to the digestive system. That's why I said the circulatory system appears to be like the central system in which other systems are dependent upon. So if you eat, the only way the food, aside the digestion, the assimilation, the absorption, it is the blood that will carry the nutrients from your GIT, that is gastrointestinal system, to other parts of the body. Because when I eat now, it goes through my stomach, intestine, out. So what is needed in the food is absorbed by the blood and then distributed across other cells. Number next, so that's third point, that is distribution of nutrients. Number next is hormones. It helps to transport hormones. Hormones are chemicals released from different parts of the body that have other functions in other parts of the body. So there's no other way for these hormones to be transported to other parts of the body except that through the circulatory system. So the organs producing the hormones will release the hormones into the circulatory system, and then the circulatory system will now transport it to the organ in which it is needed. So those are 4 basic functions. Number next about the functions of the cardiovascular system is that all these I've described is like in a loop, Abi, like heart, vessels, back to heart, vessel, back to heart. If there's any leakage, now I use the word leakage so that we can understand. An average human being, an average adult should have like 5 liters of blood, 5 to 5.5 liters of blood. If there's any leakage, which occurs when we're in trauma, they call it hemorrhage, that blood is now coming out. If that leakage is not stopped on time, the person dies. We all know that. Somebody is bleeding. That's why anytime, either internally or externally, that's why anytime anybody is bleeding, people shout, let's help him. Because we know that as long as the blood is coming out, the blood will not be sufficient to go round. Abi? So the blood in itself, which is a component of the circulatory system or cardiovascular system, helps in clotting. Clotting is a process where, how should I describe it? Where we seal off the leakage, where the system itself seals off leakages, because you can also seal off leakages from outside. You know, we can say compress, we can surgically stop it, we can apply things to stop it. But the way, that's why if there's a cut, you notice that after a while, you have clot formation to stop the leakages. If not, to every cut we have, that's potential death. And I need to say this to potentiate the issue of leakages, that is hemorrhage. If you know that maybe you need to observe that whenever somebody is bleeding, after a short time, he starts to feel dizzy. It's okay. I can't, because blood supply to the brain is reducing, blood supply to other organs is reducing, and then the person starts to lose grasp of reality, and the person falls to the ground. And that's why we say, do you want to round up now? Or?
We'll round up. We'll just, hold it there for a while. We need to go on this very quick breather, and then when we get back, we'll continue from that part about, oxygen supply in the body getting less, or when you're bleeding. This quick breather, and we'll be back.
Born Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1909, Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare for Africa's most population. Thinkers of Abu was only dressed associate and political colleagues brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 1955 and 1958. Obafemi Awolowo's premiership witnessed pioneering in multi-sectoral policy initiatives. First habitation in Africa, first real estate in Nigeria, first high-rise building in Nigeria, first modern sports stadium in Nigeria, first agricultural settlement in Nigeria, first modern civil service secretariat in Nigeria, and first industrial estate in Nigeria. His face is on 100 naira denomination as a mark of honor for his distinguished services to his country. Western Spring Alliance identifies Obafemi Awolowo as a major character in history.
Up to 75% of human infectious diseases originates in animals. And as more bushmeat is brought into our cities, the risk of human infectious disease outbreaks increases. Ebola, monkeypox, Lassa, yellow fever, and even COVID-19 may have been transmitted in this way. Illegal bushmeat trade not only endangers our wildlife, but affects our health and may damage our economy. So please, say no to illegal bushmeat. Keep them wild and keep us safe.
Badamasi Adegoke Adelabu was a prominent figure in Ibadan politics and Western region before Nigeria's independence. He was a key founder of the National Council of Nigeria Cameroons, a political party that held lofty the torch of liberty for the two Western countries. He carved a niche for himself as a wordsmith and a creative speaker. Name Elements was a native plastic English language style often used to score proceedings at the parliament. The author of Africa in Evolution, a handbook of freedom for Nigerian nationalists, was Nigeria's Federal Minister of Natural Resources and Social Services between 1955 and 1956. He died in an auto crash on the 25th March 1958. Western Spring Television Adegoke Adelabu as a watershed character in history.
Well, thank you very much for keeping faith with us on Spring Clinic on Western Spring Television. And today we're talking about the circulatory system, otherwise known as the cardiovascular system. Well, today I've learned a lot. I've learned that my heart has two sides, the left and the right. And before we went on that break, we were talking about the fact that, when you're bleeding, you could, the body begins to, sometimes the body seals the blood from inside or from outside. That's with help though. Doctor, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
But I did the job well. the lecture.
Yes, the summary was good enough.
Thank you.
Okay, we were talking about the ceiling.
Yes.
That is when there's a leakage. I'm deliberately using those terminologies for everybody to be able to get it. So, but we will likely, in medical terms, we say hemorrhage. That is bleeding. The person is bleeding. So, and I mentioned before we went on break that because the circulatory system or the cardiovascular system is central to other systems, when it gets to the brain, whenever there is bleeding, there will be insufficiency in the amount of blood that goes around. So the oxygen will drop. So the brain will not be able to take it very well. So the person starts to feel dizzy, then later may lose balance, and then people say he fainted or passed out. Yes, it's correct, because the brain that seems to coordinate nervous activities will not have enough energy, source of energy, which is oxygen, to work. So it starts to shut down. So what happens? Because let me just deviate a little. When somebody has a form of bleeding, the first thing is that ultimately you must get the person to the hospital as fast as possible, because you really cannot say how bad it will be. However, on your way to the hospital, there are things to do, because we've seen quite a lot at the hospital. There are some practices that are wrong, though they have a good intent, but they are wrong. Number one is that at the site or at the scene, the person fainted, fell to the ground, or was feeling dizzy, and says, "Okay, I want to lie down." And if you ask them, they'll tell you that upon lying down, they felt better if they had not fainted outrightly. Why? Because when standing up, it requires some measure of pressure to get blood to the brain, because this is the upper part. So it's like pushing blood against gravity to get to the brain. So if the person lies down, the effect of gravity is reduced, so whatever amount of blood remains, it gets to the brain. So in fact, there are some procedures in medical practice that will tell the person to have the head down. You get it? That is to allow blood to get to the
lower
brain.
part of your body more elevated.
Yes, elevated, because those are the limbs. And other parts, every part is important, but when it gets to the brain, cannot tolerate not having oxygen for like 5 minutes. The limbs can tolerate up to an hour. You get it? So don't try to lift up the head of the person. No, people do it. Okay, he has fainted. They now ask the person to sit down. They are opening the mouth. They are doing no. They are causing more damage. Just allow the person to lie on the left side. We mentioned it at one time, some time ago, on the left side, so that the blood, the little blood that is there can get to the brain. That's one. Number two is that people do a lot about tying. Maybe the hand is bleeding, or the arm, or the lower limb. Maybe people tie it. Tie it with clothes. Tie it with whatever, with belts. Yes, it's not bad in itself, but the moment you tie, you must start to count. You must start to time it, because there's a maximum number of minutes in which, if blood does not get to a part, particularly the upper limb and lower limb, that place is dead. So sometimes people have good intent but bad practice. So the person gets to the hospital and is like, "When did you tie this?" By the time they mention the time, tell them, "You can't untie it. We have to amputate the limb." Because, okay, that's another big thing on its own. Okay, hope I've not changed your mood. I'm sorry.
There was this time, before you continue, Doctor, there was this time, I was stung rather by scorpion. I tied it. Yes. Was that wrong? Because the doctor's reaction was...
Yes. Now, let me keep this in. When it concerns health, I think the deeper training is for the doctors. Everybody should be interested in some basic knowledge about, in fact, even CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Everyone should be able to do a CPR, an effective CPR, not just CPR, an effective CPR. It's not that a doctor or a nurse or paramedic are the ones that should do it, because I see cases and people are like, doctor, what are you looking at? This person is dying. A husband should be able to do CPR on the wife. The wife should be able to do CPR on the husband. The husband should be able, the father should be able to do it on the child. We are going to get to cardiac arrest and things like that. You know, because so when it comes to matters like this, people should know. This should be common knowledge that you don't know. Now, if it's a scorpion bite, the native intelligence that people have is that you don't want the venom to move up.
Yes.
Is that not? To get to the heart or to circulate. So, well, in some instances, maybe snake bite, it may apply. But a scorpion does not, a scorpion gets to the muzzle. That's why the pain of a scorpion is localized. If you indeed saw the scorpion, the pain is at the site of the sting. And it's so excruciating. You know, that's one of the characters you used to know that it's a scorpion, because the sting, the venom doesn't go around. It's just to the muscles and it causes excruciating pain. In fact, you don't use normal analgesics, you use anesthetic agents to numb that pain. So you really shouldn't have tied it. Now you know.
I know now.
So people shouldn't, well, you can try to tie, but once you tie, in fact, the safe thing I'm going to say here, because medicine is so dynamic and individuals are also dynamic. I can't compare myself with yourself. So if you tie anywhere, though it can still extend more than that, within 20 minutes get to the hospital. And you must let the health personnel know the time in which it was tied, at which it was tied, so that we can calculate from that point. Obviously, by the time the person gets to the hospital, we know how we have some leverages on some other procedures. Now, if the person is bleeding externally from the limbs, you elevate the limb. You elevate it, because once you elevate it, the force in which blood is going to gush out will be reduced, because gravity will be working for us, for the person to live. You know, then compress. Don't compress your hands except you have gloves. You can get gloves. That's why these things should be in everybody's vehicle. You should have a first aid, have some things there. So just compress, at least put some pressure. It's a very simple thing. Once you put the pressure, the arteries will be compressed and blood will not be able to, you know, filter away, or get out of the system. Now, number next I need to say is that when people have some form of accident and they're admitted in the hospital and they're apparently okay, those that are bleeding, it looks like